reports released over the weekend, one from the New York Times and the other from the Washington Post, which revealed new details about whether or not Trump and his aides colluded with Russia. The Post reported that Trump has gone to extraordinary lengths to conceal direct conversations that he has had with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Times article reports the FBI opened a counterintelligence investigation into Trump after he fired former Bureau Director James Comey in 2017, suspecting the president could be working on behalf of Russia. Trump has angrily denied allegations that he worked with Russia and has regularly attacked the media for reporting on the investigation. But Bernstein, during his CNN appearance, slammed Trump's dismissal of the probe. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details on how to raise your business's profile in partnership with the Liberty Beat. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at snls.news, your one-stop destination for Liberty news and commentary. Coming soon to SNLS is The Bones of Anarchy, a podcast produced by activist Tony Bones. The Bones of Anarchy, coming soon to snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow for the Liberty Beat on this Monday, January 14th, 2019. Spread liberty with a smile.
Well, it's the end of an era and the beginning of a new one.
Today, Pennington's black part of town moved across the river to North Pennington. The Thompson family sold their home on the east side and moved to the old Kirkland Place at 17 Mansfield Place, establishing the all-new black neighborhood. North Side residents are looking forward to the infusion of fun and funk that the new black part of town is sure to bring to their area. Mayor Mitzi Kranowitz presided over the dedication of the new black neighborhood, unveiling a sign designating it a landmark district.
It's lovely, everyone. Pennington's diversity is its strength, whether it's Little Harlem or the so-called Gayborhood, where Paul and his partner Bryant have that cottage.
Sheriff Stevens today announced that the heavy round-the-clock patrols that helped make the old Thompson house one of the safest neighborhoods in town will move with them.
This has nothing to do with the black part of town moving here. We just want to make sure that everyone here has a comfortable place to live.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Hey, you may take control of the airwaves here and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. So jump right on into one of those if you want to get on the air and sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. And the us tonight includes me, Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
Aria DeMezzo joining us from the Call to Freedom, which due to some, emergency family situations had to get cut short today. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Here on this program. Of course, you can join us and bring up anything you want. Mark, you had a few different interesting stories tonight. I didn't ask you to pick one, but you ought to pick one because I kind of liked all three of them. Red Tide. Now, is this really something that people can relate to?
If they go down to Florida, they can. I mean, how many vacations have been ruined at this point?
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of dead fish and your eyes burn like mustard gas.
Now, Aria, you're from Mississippi, but northern Mississippi, right?
Correct.
Okay, so did you spend much time near the coast?
No.
Okay, so you can't probably relate. Do you know what red tide is?
No.
Okay, see, I think there's a lot of people listening.
No, I think that's true.
Yeah, who don't know anything about this.
I think that's true, but I think they've heard in many cases. So you have to think about the amount of people who've gone. In the last 2 years, red tide has been terrible.
It's worse?
In Florida. Yes. You see, you're so out of touch with this stuff.
Yeah, I don't live in Florida.
Well, and you don't go on Facebook anymore, where they complain about it constantly.
Yeah.
And, red tides become terrible like half the year. It seems like, yes, it's not just the,
So what is it?
It's a stinky thing, man. It is just like death. the smell of rotting fish, basically. That just, I don't even know if that's accurate, but it's like the best thing that I can relate it to, that just kind of wafts in constantly, basically, during certain periods of time.
So you go to the beach to have a nice day,
and you're disgusted.
Oh, you don't get to the beach because you've been attacked by mustard gas on the way. So, I mean, it really burns the face and eyes. And that's why it's called the red tide. So when I was a kid...
But it's actually green water, right?
Yeah, there's no red water.
Yeah, there's no red water. I think it's called red tide because it's red algae that blooms.
Okay.
But that, I could be wrong on that. I'm not the one to tell you. So when I was a kid, every few years, you'd have red tide for a week. And then pretty soon, there's red tide week. Right? When you're a kid?
Sounds about
just
right.
about every year there's red tide. And then red tide starts getting sort of longer, and maybe there's another bloom. And last year and the year before, I'm not going to say that it was as often red tide as it wasn't, but there was extended periods of red tide that made it difficult to go to the beach in certain areas. In some cases, you'd have to go to the other side of the state just to get away from this stuff.
Is this something that only affects the Gulf Coast, or is it something that happens in the Atlantic as well?
I'm not familiar. I couldn't tell you. But you know, it's always been a mystery. I mean, you know, there's this sort of the myths that go around, and people weren't exactly sure. But you ask, what is red tide? And they'll say, it's an algae bloom that kills off the fish. What causes the algae bloom? We're not sure. We think it's something seasonal or cyclical.
It says here, according to the Red Tide Frequently Asked Questions, that this is pretty exclusive to the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay. And... you know, I mean, okay, so it's cyclical. And
might it be all that oil that leaked out into the Gulf of Mexico a few years ago that we never... Interesting.
Because the oil wouldn't cause this to happen. Let me go ahead and read the articles because they have now discovered what causes red tide.
Well, some are claiming, right? I mean, I don't know what the details are, but it also says this happens in Mexico as well. So it's not just the Florida side of it. So maybe if you'd lived in the Gulf side of Mississippi, maybe you would have experienced it there. So it's not necessarily a Tampa Bay or West Coast of Florida thing.
During the height of the past summer's toxic algae bloom, a team of researchers from Florida Gulf Coast University took water samples from the Gulf of Mexico, the Caloosahatchee River, Lake Okeechobee, and to try to identify a common source of pollution. The samples were sent to labs across the country to have their nitrogen compounds analyzed to find out where tested nitrates originated from. Dr. William Missick, who is the leading FGCU's research efforts, and announced the test results during a lecture series discussion Thursday night at the Everglades Wetland Research Park in Naples. Take it to the bank. Red tide is mostly caused on our coastline by nitrate fertilizer. Now, this is what we'd been saying for years on the Gulf Coast, is that the farmers are using too many synthetic fertilizers, and they're causing this stuff. And, the libertarian message is that if you put something on your property and it runs off your property and affects somebody else's property, that's aggression, right?
It's certainly a property trespass or whatever. Yeah.
So the farmers in the state of Florida who are choosing not to use organic fertilizer are causing red tide and costing business in Florida a great deal of money.
How do you know? Look, I'm not a scientist or whatever, but how do you know
something smart is going to follow?
How do you know that that these nitrates are only found in the synthetic?
Phosphorus. Yeah.
Phosphorus is a naturally occurring phenomenon, from what I understand, or chemical or whatever.
That's the reason they have organic fertilizers, is to prevent stuff like this. This is what happened in the Mississippi Delta, and where they have this thing called a dead zone. The dead zone is the size of New Jersey, okay? It's huge. Nothing lives there because they've got because all this fertilizer comes off of all these rivers into the Mississippi River and then flows down, and the algae kills everything, sucks all the oxygen out of the water. Little fishes can't live there anymore. And we can all wring our hands and say, well, I'm not exactly sure if the organics will do quite as well as you think. But you got to do something. You got to do it right away. The one thing that the Gulf Coast of Florida has is really great beaches. And if they're covered in dead fish with mustard gas floating in the air, they're not going to be quite as interesting to the Yankees to come down and spend their money. Florida has drug itself out of the knuckle-dragging Stone Age. The redneck Riviera is now something that people want to come to.
It's been that way for many decades, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
people want to go there, and if it's red tide all the time, then they're not going to be as attracted. I mean, Disney World only goes so far. Busch Gardens, you know.
Yeah, well, Busch Gardens and Disney World may not be very pleasant. Red tide makes it inland quite a ways.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be certainly Busch Gardens, maybe not Disneyland, but I mean, Disneyland is basically.
You mean the scent from it blows in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Disneyland is basically just a bombed out phosphate mine anyway.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what it was. They dug all the phosphate out of it, and then the land was really cheap, so Walt Disney bought it. That's the story I always heard. Huh. And, this is Florida lore, as it were. I'd heard that it was the fertilizers, and now take it to the bank. So the guy who is a science guy says, take it to the bank.
Sure. I mean, but there's a lot of science guys out there, and, has the study been duplicated? Or is this just an initial study from some college students?
It's really hard to get a study because nobody wants to know the answer, Ian. They have never wanted to know the answer.
It sounds like they did pinpoint nitrate as the problem, and they're pointing to what is probably the most likely source, which would be the artificial fertilizers.
But the Caloosahatchee and
that's not exactly a concrete connection.
It's not.
Well, and also,
I don't know where the nitrates are coming from.
I mean, I'm not a professional gardener or anything like that, but I remember working at the garden shop out in at the big Kmart down in Florida, and they have all kinds of bags of fertilizer, and they tell you nitrogen's in here, probably nitrites or whatever. I don't know what the heck those are, but that's something that you need to make ground more fertile for planting. So, do the organics provide the nitrites without using stuff that's? I guess I just don't understand how this works. Like, the purpose of fertilizer is to make the ground more fertile? Aren't nitrites important for that, or is that just a byproduct of making the synthetic fertilizer? Would you not have the nitrites in the organic fertilizer? Is what I'm asking you.
I believe that if you get something like Moo Doo, which is one of those, is
that cow poop? Is that what you mean? What's Moo Doo?
Yeah, Moo Doo is Moo Doo is a brand.
I had no idea that was a brand.
Yeah, I know that the nitrates are not as available as they are in the synthetics, and so they don't react as quickly.
Is it a nitrate?
Nitrate.
Trate.
Yep.
All right, there's more coming up here in moments. If you want to weigh in on Red Tide, we've also got more on the way. Your calls and thoughts, welcome. It's Free Talk Live.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global. Drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global. There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free here and take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. It's time that you took the time, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time, to learn the basics about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. In fact, Bitcoin.com has a great Bitcoin Academy that you can go through in a relatively short order. I think it might take maybe 10, 15 minutes. It's been a while since I've looked at it and timed it because I don't need to go through the Bitcoin Academy, but I have assessed it. I've looked at it. I've gone through it in the past, and I thought it was really good. I thought it was a good explanation of the basics about cryptocurrency. So get started over at Bitcoin.com. Plus, you can get the latest news or engage with the community there on the Bitcoin forum. They can help you choose a Bitcoin wallet, buy Bitcoin, and show you where you can spend your Bitcoin as well.
Oh, yeah, they can help you. They can give you some free Bitcoin. So if you go to wallet.bitcoin.com,
you're not going to get a whole Bitcoin.
You then, what's that?
You're not going to get a whole Bitcoin.
No, but you get some free Bitcoin, free Bitcoin Cash. You go there, you use their faucet at free.bitcoin.com, and then you can spend it at store.bitcoin.com. They've got a real system for you.
Well, I don't think you can actually spend the amount that they give you.
Not in one go.
Yeah.
You're going to have to save it up.
Yeah. So
it's a little adventure. It's like a video game where you collect stuff.
Yeah. Check it out over at Bitcoin.com. I mean, the faucet's cool, but it's more of like a proof of, here you go, here, try this thing out. You can try it for free, basically.
Yeah. I mean, but
you're not
you
going to
could go
buy anything with it.
Back daily if you felt like it.
I mean, if it happened to shoot up dramatically, then maybe you could buy something with it eventually, but I don't know what the amount is they're giving out.
It can't be much. Pennies, I would guess.
Right. These faucets are used to, typically, historically, have given out no more than, a few cents worth. But check it out over at Bitcoin.com. All right, so we're talking about this story, Mark, that you say is a revelation, basically. You're very excited by this news from some college.
I'm not happy, to be clear.
Okay, well, you seem to be excited by the news because
excited is true.
This red tide,
happy is not.
Red tide has been an issue that has plagued the Gulf Coast of not just Florida, but apparently all around the Gulf of Mexico, according to Wikipedia and other news articles about it. But you and I, Mark, we grew up on the sun coast of Florida, and we grew up with red tide to some extent. Now, I didn't live near the ocean, so I didn't have an experience constantly about red tide. I mean, certainly I've experienced it enough to know what it is. It's something that was fairly consistent over time. Like, it was guaranteed red tide's going to happen once or twice or whatever, every single year for a period of a week or two or something like that. That's kind of my general recollection. But again, I haven't lived down there in a dozen years, and I grew up there. So there's been the study done. I don't know where we're at in your story that you're reporting from.
Mostly.
What was the source on that?
Covered. It was, let me give you just a second here. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for you to ask me that particular question. WMFE.org.
MFE, okay.
I'm not familiar with which broadcast affiliate that, or syndicate that is.
And so the statement, and if there's more, please share it, but the statement so far is these scientists from some college went there. They did some testing in Lake Okeechobee. They did testing
Caloosahatchee River,
in a river, and in the Gulf of Mexico.
The Caloosahatchee River comes out in Fort Myers.
And they tested the Gulf itself, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is where does this algae bloom that is red tide, right? It's this algae bloom. Where does that come from? What starts that? And they believe that it has to do with fertilizers.
Yep, fertilizers.
Specifically synthetic fertilizers?
Nitrates, yep, coming out of the synthetic fertilizers.
And that somehow creates the algae, basically?
Sure. Okay, what's algae?
I have no idea.
It's plants.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a science guy.
I'm not, man.
Okay.
I'm straight up. I'll admit to you, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay, good. Algae, plants, fertilizer to make plants grow, right?
Okay.
So you dump fertilizer in a place with algae, what's going to happen to the algae?
It's going to grow.
Excellent.
I see.
And if you get enough algae grow, then it sucks up all the oxygen in the water, right? And the fish die.
Okay. And that's why... Is that where the smell comes from? Is from the dead fish, or does the algae itself also generate a scent?
I don't know. I think that must be the algae.
Huh.
Because it, the waves coming in on the Gulf, aerializes it or something, aerosolizes it.
Well, according to Live Science, what causes a red tide? Red tides aren't just the scourge of beachgoers. They're deadly to marine life like fish, birds, and even manatees, and can have a serious impact on human health as well. Red tide occurs when the population of certain kinds of algae, known as dinoflagellates, explodes, creating what's called an algal bloom. Scientists sometimes refer to red tides as harmful algal blooms, or HABs. When millions of these microscopic algae reproduce and cluster in one area of the ocean, they can actually change the color of the water. So this we weren't sure about earlier when you'd asked, Aria, and neither you or I, Mark, had really ever noticed an actual red coloring to the water. But according to this, it can happen. According to the CDC, a rusty shade of red is often seen, though the color may range from pink or orange to brown or yellow. There are 3 types of algae associated with red tides in the Gulf of Mexico. Carina brevia is especially prevalent along the west coast of Florida and the Texas shore. Farther north, Alexandrium fundiens is found on the Atlantic coastline from New England into Canada. Now, the other story, or the Wikipedia article, said this was mostly a Florida thing, but it's saying here that it could happen along the Atlantic. And then Alexandrium catanella is common throughout the Pacific, from Mexico to Alaska and along the coasts of Australia and Japan. So turns out it's not necessarily just a Florida thing.
Well, algae is everywhere, and so are synthetic fertilizers.
But these are the ones associated with red tide specifically. A number of factors can cause an algal bloom to grow: low salinity, a high nutrient content in the water, that would be the nitrates, right?
Yep.
And warmer than usual surface water temperatures are usually cited as contributing to a red tide's formation. The algae linked to red tides contain a toxin that affects the nervous and digestive systems of animals. Red tides are usually accompanied by a massive die-off of fish, as well as the birds and other animals that feed on those fish.
When you see a big fish washed up on the beach, I mean, little fish, you see it all the time with red tide, but when you see a big fish, it's a pretty saddening experience, because you're like, huh, somebody could have caught this fish and fed their family. This fish could have bred and created more fish. And it's, here it is, lying on the beach, dead because, well, we're just polluting the water all the time. And look, libertarians have a very difficult time with this whole environmental issue because they never want to hold the people responsible.
Well, how do you hold people responsible in the case here? Because we're still not sure about anything, right? Like, this is just a scientific study that has been done. Maybe it wasn't even scientific. I don't know. It was science. People from a university went and they measured some stuff, and the professor in charge says, "Aha!"
Well, I think ideally, we would take him to a civilian court, present the case, and have a jury determine whether or not the evidence was sound.
Why would you want to have a jury do it? I mean, look,
that is
if we're talking,
because
I would trust the judgment of 12 people more than I trust the judgment of one person.
They have at this point, that's all we've got for an arbitration organization.
No. But we're talking about a future where it's a libertarian future.
We're talking about the red tide right now.
We're talking but she's talking about in the future where it's an actual libertarian future. Wouldn't you want a professional jury or some group of people that actually knows about, I don't know, science? You don't want me sitting on a jury because I'm like, what's a nitrate? Yeah.
Not useful.
Yeah, more coming up here in a moment.
Most people just want to go home.
Yeah, 855-450 free. Yeah, and of course juries are coerced in the current situation that we have. It's Free Talk Live.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it. Wait
a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night.
from there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here. We're talking about controversy over science, which, I'm not a scientist, but Aria, didn't you go to school for physics or something like that?
I did. I majored in physics briefly.
Yeah, so we actually do have like a science person here, Mark, and
I don't know if I would go that far.
Well, the thing about science is, Ian, it doesn't transfer necessarily particularly well to other forms of science.
There are different studies, different fields.
Yeah, there's different branches of science, and physicists, although they probably have a better way of thinking about the problem than most, don't necessarily aren't going to be able to answer your questions about marine biology.
Well, the good thing is the internet is here as well, and so we can ask it questions.
Thank goodness for that.
And so we're learning about. I think we've already learned. Mark, even though you and I grew up in Florida, we didn't really even know that apparently some of these red tides can actually color the water red. Who knew?
I'd heard that it was red algae, but that was about it.
Well, it can be red. It can be, according to the story over at livescience.com, it can be pink, orange, brown, or even yellow. So it depends on the brand of the algae and
the color of the water too, right?
Yeah, probably that as well. So,
red and blue makes purple.
Speaking of beautiful beaches, we will be down in Mexico. Mark, you're actually going to be hitting the road to do some extended traveling. You're going down to the Miami Bitcoin Conference.
Miami Bitcoin Conference, I leave day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
By the way, Bitcoin.com will have a booth there, so you can come and check us out there.
Are you going to be hanging out at the Bitcoin.com booth?
I'll be hanging out near it.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably find a place where I can do recordings a little better, but I'll hang out there, sure.
And then you're going off on a business thing that you have a meeting somewhere, and then you've got the Anarchapulco from February 14th through the 17th in beautiful Acapulco, Mexico. And so you're going to be broadcasting your show, Edgington Post. You're going to be recording episodes from all along the journey, I suspect. You'll be arriving in Acapulco
Maybe
early.
I'll even put some up on the podcast. It'll be great.
Yep. You'll be arriving in Acapulco early, starting at the beginning of February. So you're going to be spending an extended period of time with the family down there. So you'll be checking in on the podcast, and listeners will be able to find out what you're up to. But in Acapulco, the time you really want to be there is February 14th through the 17th, along with Ron Paul, Judge Andrew Napolitano, and dozens more speakers. Loads of speakers. We're talking multiple stages. In Acapulco last year, 1,700 people. It was a sold-out event. This year, they have rented the entire resort. So it wasn't the whole resort last time.
Nope.
This time it is.
There were a lot of confused people wandering around wondering what the heck was going on.
And you talked to the organizer this year. They've got a pro in, somebody who's done this a lot, apparently.
Yep.
And she said there were, less than 500 tickets, less than 200 hotel rooms left, basically?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that was last week.
That was a week ago. And now we're exactly 1 month away, basically, from the start. Of this. So if you've been putting this off, maybe you weren't sure if you could get the time off or whatever, don't wait any longer. Go to anarchapulco.com, use code FTL. You'll save money on your tickets, and you'll be able to attend an amazing voluntarist.
You'll have
anarchist.
a wonderful time, and we'd love to see you.
It's the only, it's the key, I would say the best, certainly the biggest, and in my opinion, the best voluntarist, anarchist, libertarian gathering of the entire year. And it's in a beautiful location, so you really can't beat this. The prices are a great deal. I mean, I would never be able to justify spending the money to go to a resort like this, but
it's nice to have it there.
It's actually reasonable. Like in Mexico, You get a 5-star resort for the price of what you might pay for maybe a
hotel room,
2-star, 3-star hotel in the United States. So it's amazing.
Awesome.
Anarchapulco.com, code FTL. Get on down there. All right, so hopefully they won't be ravaged by red tide over in Mexico.
Doesn't seem likely.
We're talking a little bit more about what that is, but let's go to the phones here where Bobby is actually on the line in Florida. Bobby, from what part of Florida do you hail?
Okay, I live in Lakeland, Florida. It's about 35, 40 minutes away from Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
Are there any rednecks?
An hour away from Sarasota.
Bobby, are there any rednecks in Lakeland, Florida?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
We used to play them in football.
Oh, yeah.
My God, those corn-fed country boys.
Now, it's funny because my parents moved from Detroit after the 64 riots. And anyway, so I don't have much of an accent, which is weird. But I grew up for 17 years in South Carolina. And then for the past 13 years, I've been in Florida. So anyways, I was explaining about this whole red tide deal. I called Captain Mike Anderson. He was on 970 WFLA in Florida.
Big station.
Tampa.
Great station.
Absolutely. And so what happened? So this is what's going on with this red tide. Big Sugar has taken over south of Lake Okeechobee.
Okay.
And now what they did with Lake Okeechobee, they started diverting water from Lake Okeechobee to their Big Sugar farms.
Okay.
Which, Mark, you are correct. It is from the nitrates. Now, from the nitrates is coming from Big Sugar. Now, what Big Sugar did was they started to take the water and then infiltrate it down to their Big Sugar farms, which a guy asked me in the Discord chat, well, what about small sugar? There's no small sugar anymore.
Okay.
There's only Big Sugar.
It's hard to find small farmers, period. You basically have to go meet them at their farm and chit-chat with them, maybe get into a CSA or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, if you're getting food from a grocery store, it's very difficult to get something that's produced by a small farmer.
Well, big likes big, and government regulations run the little guys out of business in the first place, plus the big guys get subsidies in a lot of ways.
100%. So what they done, they diverted water to Big Sugar. And so now since they diverted the water from Lake Okeechobee, which comes from Lake Kissimmee, which I go to Lake Kissimmee every other week to go and fish. And then so Lake Kissimmee is a big deal because Lake Kissimmee feeds Lake Okeechobee all of its water. So that little line you see in Florida going down to Lake Okeechobee, that's Lake Kissimmee. And that's what I fish on a weekly, every two times a month I go down and fish. And anyways, what has happened, they diverted water from Lake Okeechobee and Lake Kissimmee and their rivers, and now since they're getting all their water there, all the water and the nitrates are running off into the Gulf from Big Sugar. And Rick Scott, the former governor who just now turned senator, allowed Big Sugar all kinds of subsidies, all kinds of legalizations of stuff that they can do with the waterways and this and that, which you would never be able to do before. And now all that nitrate is running into the Gulf and causing this red tide into the Gulf, which is these guys. I talked to a Captain Mike Anderson, and he's never seen this in the 30 years he's been here.
Yeah,
he's never seen it as bad, and it's from the nitrates runoff from Big Sugar, which the government subsidizes to fill their pocket. I'm sure politicians are involved in making money.
But you're talking about
it.
Okeechobee. That's down in the south part of the state, right?
That's correct.
Are you saying that that's affecting the northern portions or the central portions of the Gulf of Mexico?
Up to Sarasota, up to Tampa Bay.
Well, the Caloosahatchee River comes off of Lake Okeechobee. Well, there's the Okeechobee Waterway, which is a canal system that's drawn through there. So the Caloosahatchee, that empties out into the Caloosahatchee. I'm not exactly sure that it comes like right at the head of it or anything, but it comes out into the Caloosahatchee. Then the Caloosahatchee goes out into the Gulf. If there's counterclockwise, Gulf rotations or whatever going on, then yeah, you're darn right that stuff's going to head up that way.
Yeah, and so it's all government intervention causing crap happening to cause dead, not just fish, like you were saying, and you mentioned the manatees, dolphins. We've had whales wash up on shore, and this is the worst. And I've talked to captains out that go out and they do charters and stuff, and they've never seen it as bad as it has been in the past year. And it was just been so bad, and it's because Big Sugar and Rick Scott, the senator, now the senator of Florida.
Well, I'm sure the government can get us out of this problem that they created, right?
Yeah.
Let's create some new government rules and programs. Hey, Bobby, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. It sounded good there on Twitch. If you want to jump, or not Twitch, on Discord. He's probably watching us on Twitch because he's in the Twitch chat as well. Discord.lrn.fm is where you can join us there, and you'll sound great, presuming you got a little bit of bandwidth. We're coming up here. This is Free Talk Live.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you could move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-951-5617 and use promo code FTL. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.
Bags under the eyes, crow's feet, fine lines and wrinkles are things adults complain about as they age. Now there's Instantly Ageless. It works in minutes and is great for men and women.
I've probably noticed in the past 5 years that my eyes have gained a lot of fine lines, wrinkles, my crow's feet have gotten deeper. Wow. I was hoping for 5 years, but that's like what my eyes looked like 10 years ago.
That is really cool. Wrinkle gone. It's easy. You just put it on your finger and go. Now I wish I had more down here because I can still see one wrinkle. It's bugging me.
I am a little bit emotional. Turning 40, I didn't think would be a big deal to me, but that looks like the me that I feel like inside instead of what I see when I look in the mirror.
Try Instantly Ageless today at GCNlife.com. That's GCNlife.com. 30-day money-back guarantee and preferred price discount at GCNlife.com. That's GCNlife.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, there's a big ruling regarding your smartphone and what the police can do to get into it with or without your consent. We'll tell you about that on the way here. But we've been talking about the problem of red tide, and it's something that if you visited Florida or some of the other Gulf Coast states, and according to this article at Live Science, it does exist outside of Florida.
Yeah.
There was another story I said looked at that suggested it was only really the Gulf of Mexico that experienced it, but it's saying here it's not just
Florida for the United States. They're saying it's not just the Gulf,
but they're saying it's not just the Gulf either. They're saying it's also Alaska,
Sure.
It's also Mexico, it's even from New England into Canada, according to this. So we're just kind of learning a little bit more about what red tide is, because Mark, even though you and I lived there and we smelled it, we didn't know a whole lot about.
Well, there wasn't Wikipedia, when I was having to deal with red tide, and mostly red tide wasn't the biggest problem when you and I were growing up. We grew up separate times, but it's only in the last few years that it's really become a huge issue.
It's gotten worse, is what you're saying.
As Bobby from Florida mentioned.
Yeah, so and Bobby says he believes that it is the big sugar producers in South Florida that are using these synthetic fertilizers, which is what brings us back to the very beginning of the hour, where you had an article about some science folks from a university who went down there and did some testing, and they believe that it's the synthetic fertilizers that are causing the algae blooms that are the red tide that lead to massive fish die-offs.
Yeah. One thing I didn't get out of this article that I want to get out, just to make sure that we're completely fair here, the second highest reading collected came from rainwater. So some of these nitrates are just being brought up into the atmosphere and then dropped back down.
Interesting.
A little bit more here about the red tide, and then I want to talk about the nitrates and fertilizers as well, because I found some more information about that too. So we're kind of learning along with you here, as we frequently do on Free Talk Live. Feel free to weigh in. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. So they say here that a number of factors can cause the algal bloom to grow. Low salinity, high nutrient content in the water, and a warmer than usual surface water temperatures are frequently cited as contributing to the red tide's formation. They usually are accompanied by a massive die-off of fish, as well as birds and other animals. Even the larger animals that feed on the fish, shellfish, and other marine life can be killed if they consume enough of the toxin. A red tide in Florida, now this was written in 2013. Back in 2013, has been blamed for a significant die-off of manatees, while another red tide in 2012 may have caused a large number of squid deaths in California. Humans are also vulnerable to the toxic effects of a red tide. Wave action can release the algae's toxins into the air.
That's what I said. I'm a genius.
Causing respiratory problems among people near the shoreline, particularly those with asthma, emphysema, or other respiratory illnesses.
Yeah, this is the reason that you will see this problem solved.
No, see,
because the rich people
I'm not sure it can be
Key
solved.
aren't going to put up with this.
I'm not sure it can be solved, other than letting nature take its course and letting some aquatic life evolve that consumes red algae.
Which could take quite a while.
It could take quite a while, but I mean, that's going to have to be the ultimate solution.
Well, they could stop using these synthetic fertilizers, and that sure would help. Something's changed in the last few years.
Well, that's what you think.
Something's changed in the last few years.
But I mean, the damage also may be done by now, It may be one of those things that can't be reversed.
Well, it's not like red tide's happening all the time. There are blooms. And is it possible that you can stop the blooms? Well, if you stop one of the contributing factors, presumably you will stop the blooms. I think that Big Sugar could, if it chose to, use organic fertilizers, or we could just stop producing sugar in the Everglades. I mean, you can only do so much in a given geographic area without having the cause and effect happen.
Well,
everything ends up in the ocean anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter where we form it at.
It's true.
It's going to end up in the ocean.
Nutrients end up in the ocean.
Yeah, I mean, the big sugar producers aren't just going to sell their crops and sell their land just because Mark thinks, we ought to do this. We ought to move all the sugar down to wherever, just not here. And that's not going to happen.
Okay, so it's not Mark, because I don't have any property. Like, here's a message to all y'all in Siesta Key. Screw you and your red tide, okay? Ha, 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 ha. All right? So now... Right now, I've got some mad people on Siesta Key, and they're
Jerry Springer.
These people have money.
No, he's on Bird Key.
He's suffering just as much on Bird Key. Isn't there the basis for AC/DC on Bird Key too?
No, Brian Johnson, the singer for AC/DC.
Yeah. How many other rock stars that you can think of are in that area?
I don't know. I used to know the maid of Brian Johnson's house, though.
Weren't the Allman Brothers on Longboat?
I don't know.
So this gives you some idea of the money that's sitting there on Longboat Key,
There's
Lido
a lot of
Key,
money out there.
Bird Key, Siesta Key, Casey Key. I can keep going, folks.
And it would be amusing to see some of them have their housing values plummet and have to sell them off, and people get some really sweet, except for when the red tide happens.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do
property
that.
For
They've got time, and they're going to, they're going to move inland or someplace else for a little while. Let everything air out till the winter time. Then they come down and enjoy the nice winters in Florida.
Red tide doesn't happen during the winter?
Generally not. And then that's when the lawsuits start. The lawyers are getting rung up as we speak right now. And you're going to find that Big Sugar is not going to be able to fight Big Tourist.
You think so?
Big Tourist really is the big one in Florida.
Well, the toxins can accumulate in shellfish. And because of that, red tides often cause outbreaks of parasitic shellfish poisoning, PSP, and amnesic shellfish poisoning, ASP. Both illnesses affect the nervous system.
Not sure what that means. Never heard of amnesic.
Well, what do you
shellfish
think? What is
poisoning.
amnesia?
I got it.
Well, what is it?
It's when you can't remember things.
ASP can cause dizziness and disorientation, and in extreme cases, PSP can cause respiratory paralysis, resulting in death by asphyxiation.
This can happen in humans from eating animals affected by the red algae?
I guess
what they're saying?
It could, yeah, you probably don't want to eat the shellfish that's been red-tided.
It's marinated in red tide.
Red tides occur worldwide, and so there you go. It's not just Florida, worldwide. And some reports indicate their occurrence is on the rise. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the phenomenon now takes place almost every summer along Florida's Gulf Coast, for example.
Didn't used to.
Global warming may be contributing to the increase, they say. Researchers at NOAA use computer models to determine how warming ocean temperatures might change the timing and frequency of the algal blooms associated with red tides, which would explain why it's not happening as much during the winter.
Right.
Not that it cools off that much, but maybe it's enough to where it's not.
It's enough, yeah.
Happening. Quote, we found that not only will the risk for toxic blooms increase with the present-day bloom season, which is typically between July and October, but the bloom season itself will also expand, said Stephanie Moore from the NOAA. Now, with that, let's go and talk about organic fertilizer, because, Mark, you had suggested that the nitrites, or the science... nitrates, the sciencey folks who did this test said, this is the problem. It's these synthetic fertilizers.
Well, they said there was the nitrates.
Which you have said comes from the synthetic fertilizers.
That's what I've said.
And I asked the question of, well, don't you need these nitrates to, healthy up the soil? Isn't that the whole point of the fertilizer, to have, different nutrients that are added in? So wouldn't these also appear in the organic fertilizers as well? Here's an article from gardenmyths.com titled, What is Organic Fertilizer? By Robert Pavlis. He says, if you read a number of websites, especially organic gardening ones, you will quickly realize there are two basic kinds of fertilizer. There's the synthetic fertilizer, which you buy in bags. This fertilizer is clearly bad. Then there's the good stuff, organic fertilizer. And this has been your narrative tonight so far. What is the real difference between organic fertilizer and synthetic fertilizer? Is there a difference? The answer may surprise you. Wikipedia defines fertilizer as any organic or inorganic material of natural or synthetic origin other than liming material that is added to a soil to supply one or more plant nutrients essential to the growth of plants. From a gardener's perspective, fertilizer may contain NPK and minor nutrients, sulfur, magnesium, iron, etc. The NPK number is short for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
Right.
If you look on the bags, there's different numbers associated.
Right. You'll see fertilizer tins are like 666 or
Right.
12 12 12. I didn't mean to call the number of the beast. Sorry, folks out there that have just hit the ceiling in your car.
Synthetic fertilizer.
But they really do have fertilizer called 666.
I'm sure they do, but I thought ammonium nitrate was like the key component of all fertilizer in the first place.
I couldn't tell you that. I don't know.
Well, we're going to learn more
I'm
about
not a chemist, but I do have worked in nurseries and done plenty of fertilizing, and my wife had an organic garden. Yeah.
So what is the difference between synthetic and organic fertilizer? We'll tell you a little bit more about it coming up here in moments. And a little gardening here tonight on Free Talk Live. We really cover a lot of the bases
Well,
here.
the red tide's a big deal, and it's really divisive.
Yeah, and there's no real, I don't think, even though these scientists seem to think they know a thing or two, I don't think there's a real conclusion here, but we're going to continue in moments. And we can get back into that jury question as well. I did make a note about that. So professional juries versus amateurs on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. To secure your spot, text JOIN to 76280. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. To join American Cannabis Summit, text JOIN to 76280. Attendance is free. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, January 14th, 2019. Silver is trading at $15.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,294 per ounce. Smart cash is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,574. Antiwar.com reports South Korean officials are expressing concern that President Trump may order a drawdown of troops from the Korean Peninsula as negotiations on the funding of U.S. troops deployed there hits an impasse. In recent years, South Korea had paid about half of the cost of hosting U.S. troops in Korea. In 2018, this cost them $830 million. Yet President Trump is seeking a massive increase in payments from South Korea, demanding a 50% increase on top of what they already pay. Negotiations on these demands began in March with the goal of reaching a new 5-year deal before the previous deal expired. The deal has since expired at the end of 2018, and now there is no deal in place at all. South Korea is said to be planning a counter-offer which will offer to increase payments to adjust for inflation, though U.S. officials say they don't think this will satisfy the White House. At the same time, South Korean parliament members say they don't think they can afford to cave to the Trumpian way of demanding increases. Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc. Reuters reports a Republican senator close to President Donald Trump on Sunday backed a temporary reopening of the federal government in the 23rd day of the longest shutdown ever to allow for talks on a spending agreement that could satisfy Trump's border security demands. Democrats in Congress rejected Trump's request that legislation to fund the government include $5.7 billion of taxpayer money for a wall on the U.S. border with Mexico. They have refused further negotiations until the government is reopened after being partially shut down since December 22nd. Lindsey Graham, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said he urged the president on Sunday to reopen the government for a limited period of time to try to get talks going again. If no progress is made, he said, then Trump should declare a national emergency as a way to get money to build his wall, a plan not popular with some fellow Republicans. Graham said on Fox News Sunday before he pulls the plug on the legislative option, and I think we are almost there. I would urge them to open the government for a short period of time, like 3 weeks before he pulls the plug to see if we can get a deal. He said Trump told him, let's make a deal, then open the government. The record shutdown has furloughed 800,000 federal employees and cut government services across the United States. They missed their first paychecks on Friday, heightening concerns about mounting financial pressures on employees, including air traffic controllers and airport security officials who are working without pay. Trump continued to blame Democrats for this impasse, posting on Twitter, I'm in the White House waiting. The Democrats are everywhere but Washington as people will await their pay. They're having fun and not even talking. Drew Hamill, Deputy Chief of Staff for Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, responded on Twitter that Nancy Pelosi has been in D.C. all weekend working from the Capitol. In a meeting last month with Pelosi and top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer, Trump said he would be proud to shut down the government over wall funding. Recent polls show Americans think the president is to blame. Jennifer Lawless, a politics professor at the University of Virginia, said she believes Trump and Republicans will lose the game of chicken as furloughed workers, airport travelers, tourists, and others experience the consequences of political dysfunction firsthand. She said the shutdown is real, the wall is hypothetical, and at some point the Republicans are going to remember that it's real people in their districts who aren't getting paid, real people who aren't able to access government services, and real people who vote. A concourse at Miami International Airport was shut down for part of the weekend because not enough TSA agents were present to staff all of the airport's security checkpoints. The airport said it would reopen the concourse on Monday and continue to monitor checkpoint staffing levels and make adjustments as necessary. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Spendabit.co. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll never stop feeling like this.
Everyone can smell the marijuana on your breath and on your clothes. Everyone is laughing at you.
Additionally, the in-depth report reveals that despite trying to act cool, you're definitely laughing too much and everyone is messing with you.
Your parents know you're high, your friends know you're high, strangers on the street know you're high. If you're young and you smoke marijuana, you will probably never be able to find a job. And if you're an adult, you will most likely be fired. If you hear a noise, that's probably the police, and you're probably going to jail.
While previous studies suggested that it's all good and that we're all made of the same stuff that makes stars, new research indicates that your brain got broken and you shouldn't have done this. Doctors say the study raises important questions such as, what if that wasn't just marijuana and how are you going to get home?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
And you can join us again. You can call toll-free or call on our Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're open for you over at discord.lrn.fm. You'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Coming up, we'll talk about some court-related stuff. In fact, on the way, there's a pretty big ruling that has to do with your privacy on your smartphone. Plus, we can talk about another big ruling that came out last month, and we didn't get around to covering. It's about recording government bureaucrats without their knowledge. I think that's a pretty important case, so I definitely do want to get to that at some point. But we still are talking about this red tide issue. Mark, you brought this up. You're very concerned as somebody who is formerly of Florida, and as am I. Aria, you're from Mississippi, but not from the Gulf side of the Mississippi. This is apparently a problem not just affecting Florida, but affecting the world, according to Live Science, or whatever it was. Yeah, livescience.com. We read about red tide, and the allegation here from some science folks from a university who went down and tested some water in Lake Okeechobee, in one of the rivers, and in the Gulf of Mexico. And they determined, they believe the cause of the red tide is coming from these synthetic fertilizers and the nitrates that are in the synthetic fertilizers.
Right.
So is that my understanding correct?
Pretty close, yeah.
Okay. So that's made me, again, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a gardener, but it made me think back to my time when I worked in the garden shop. Now, again, I was the worst person for garden shop at the Big K, right? Like, normally I was in the electronics department. That's the department I wanted to work in, but, it's retail. They kind of put you where they need you, and there was at least a couple summers where I spent a fair amount of time running the register out in garden shop, doing my best to try to help old ladies find the thing they were looking for when not actually knowing what it was that they were looking for, just sort of, bumping around trying to find the thing, basically.
That's kind of how big box retail goes.
Retail, yeah. But
you want somebody who can find the thing you're looking for. Go to Ace Hardware or one of the little retailers, garden shops, one of your local nurseries, something like that.
Largely through osmosis, contact with the products, I learned a little bit about what these fertilizers are, and they all have the numbers on them. Mark, you talked about the different numbers that represent specific types of nutrients, I guess, that NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and then there's some other minor nutrients, and there's different mixes in the different bags. So this story over here from gardenmyths.com is talking about what is an organic fertilizer, because I thought, well, if they have nitrites in these synthetics, then they must also exist in the organics. And so his article here is going to try to explain, what is, if anything, the difference between these.
And what my claim was, to be clear, that there are nitrates in organic fertilizer, but they are not as readily available. Like, they just don't wash out in the same way. They're sort of wrapped up in the rest. Yeah, they're sort of wrapped up in there, and it's more difficult to get them out. Kind of like a time release thing from a drug. Does that make sense?
Do you have any evidence for that?
That's my understanding of it. All I can do is tell you the things I've heard.
Because if they're in there, right? Yeah. And they got plenty of time to release if they're in the ocean.
I mean, having raw ammonium nitrate is certainly different from having a bag of urine and cow crap.
Yeah. Okay.
It's certainly going to be harder to get that raw nutrient out.
If you take chicken manure, just raw, they say it burns the grass or whatever it is that you put it on. However, if you compost it in with wood chips or something, again, like I just do the task that I'm told to do. I don't know a lot about it. Then it's fine. And it's been composted in and everything's okay. So the same stuff presumably is there. It's just not as available.
You don't think salt water and constant motion would break that down?
I think that it would make it happen more slowly.
So, synthetic fertilizer is also called inorganic fertilizer or commercial fertilizer to differentiate it from organic fertilizer. This fertilizer is either mined from the ground or synthesized by man. It consists of granular material and comes in bags. Now, organic fertilizer, on the other hand, any fertilizer that originates from an organic source is considered to be organic. So some examples include fish extracts, manure, and compost.
Fish extract is fish poop.
It can be purchased in bags or bottles and can be ordered in bulk as trailer loads. To better understand the differences between fertilizers, it's important to understand things from the plant's point of view. What nutrients can a plant use? Can it distinguish between a synthetic and an organic source? Plants get almost all nutrients through their roots. You can think of the outside wall of the root as having small holes or pores, and these holes are used to let certain molecules into the root. The process is more complex than this, but it's not a bad analogy. These holes are quite small, and so only small molecules can get through them.
It's like the internet. It's a series of tubes.
Yeah. Water molecules consisting of H2O are small enough, and they get into the root. Nitrate is also a small molecule, NO3, and it's also absorbed into the root. Other nutrients such as phosphorus, potassium, iron, magnesium are all small enough to enter the roots. Large molecules like proteins, DNA, carbohydrates, etc. are huge in size compared to the nutrients. They don't just fit through the holes. In fact, most organic molecules fall into this category. Plants can't use most organic molecules found in the soil. Almost all of the organic material in compost, manure, etc. is of little use to plants. They simply can't get the molecules into their roots. Large organic molecules do contain nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, iron, for example, but in the organic form, they're too big to get into the roots.
This guy's saying that organic fertilizer doesn't work?
For example, protein is a good source of iron, but because protein molecules are so big, plants cannot use the iron contained in the protein. Eventually, these large organic molecules do break down, and when they do, the small nutrient molecules are released, and then the plants can use them. So that's the time release that you were talking about there. For a better understanding of this, see compost. What is compost? Now, plants need the small molecules in order to grow. One of the key nutrients besides water is nitrogen, and plants usually get that in the form of a nitrate molecule. So here we are. Let's look at the nitrate molecules in more detail. What's the difference between a nitrate molecule from a synthetic fertilizer, the supposed problem in the Gulf of Mexico, according to these college scientists, and an organic fertilizer? And then they show two pictures, which I studied and could not find any differences between them. You know, it shows the molecule, the molecular layout, right?
Well, I mean, of course not. Nitrate is going to be nitrate regardless of its source.
Right, and indeed, there is no difference. A nitrate molecule from either source is exactly the same. More importantly, the plants can't tell the difference either. So he says there's absolutely no difference between a nitrate molecule from a synthetic source and a nitrate molecule from an organic source. The last fact is hard for the pro-organic movement to believe. How can they be the same when organic is so much better? The fact is that when it comes to providing nutrients for the plants, organic is not better. It's exactly the same as a synthetic source. From a strictly chemical nutrient point of view...
Except that it's not as available as quickly.
From a strictly chemical nutrient point of view, organic is not better, nor is it worse than synthetic. It's exactly the same. However, we can look at things from a different perspective, and then we will find that organic is better. And then he has another article about the real value of organic fertilizer. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I buy the idea that just because it's synthetic is what's causing the problem. If you think the nitrates are the problem of the red tide, it would seem that any amount of fertilizing, any amount of inducing an artificially unusual amount of nitrates into a waterway would be the same problem.
I would say that the issue is the form in which the two types of nitrates arrive, right? Like, so we agree that the nitrates from organic fertilizers take longer to break down. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whereas the others don't. Now, if these come in pellets form and they're sprinkled on the ground, or they're sprayed in the form, just sprayed like liquids on top of liquid on top of the ground or something like that. That's the non-organic type. Then runoff. It runs from the plant down to a little gully, from the gully down to the water, and then out and off it goes. Right. Whereas maybe if it takes longer for the manure or whatever it is that contains the organic nitrates to sit on the ground, and it seeps into the soil better, and this sort of compounds over the course of years and just makes for better soil. We already know that crop rotation works because we've seen Joel Salatin and read his book Everything I Want to Do Is Illegal, where he talks about crop rotation farming, and he's going to say that this stuff, absolutely, there's a huge difference.
The toll-free number, if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
What is it called? costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways.
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com.
With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash is building a foundation that can support daily transactions for people everywhere. One feature that sets Smart Cash apart is the Smart Hive governance model and how the community can vote to fund the best projects with block rewards stored in the Smart Hive project treasury. Unlike other cryptocurrencies with voting systems, Smart Cash allows everyone to participate. One smart equals one vote. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free. Join us here. We got some courtroom related stories, some big cases that I've been meaning to talk about. The one where you can, according to one court, federal court, you can record government bureaucrats without their permission. And this is something that a lot of us in the activist community have been paying close attention to over the years, especially in the few states where they have the most ridiculous so-called wiretapping rules. So we can get into that. I think we've pretty much hashed out this conversation on the Red Tide. I would say it's inconclusive at best, as far as this particular study saying it's the nitrates that are causing the red tide.
The study says it's nitrates.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you're not sure where the nitrates are coming from. So the study's not inconclusive.
Well, no, I'm saying this is just a study saying a thing. Usually you need to have more than one of them duplicated in order to, for it to have some sort of real...
People have been saying it for years.
Real value.
It's the truth.
Well, no, they're saying that's one of the things that can cause red tide, and I don't know if that's the only thing. The article we read earlier... Red tide's
worse for the last 3 years, and supposedly, according to Bobby in Florida, I don't know, I'm not in Florida, but Big Sugar's been doing a lot more production down south of Okeechobee in that same time period.
Correlation is not necessarily causation.
But
that's why I think it's permanent, because of the increase in Big Sugar and the increase in farming in general. It's because, cows and other animals, they've been making manure for thousands of years.
Yep.
But the red tide has never been an issue. But then we humans were like, okay, well, we need more food, so let's create fertilizer.
Yep, let's dig up out of the ground, out of phosphate mines and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so where it was just sitting there sort of inactive, we dug it out and dumped it into the oceans. While the cow's manure has always been making its way to the ocean.
Wouldn't the red tide consume it? I mean, I don't know everything about fertilizer, but I presume that it's consumed by the plants, and then when they die, then it's well, I guess it'd be in their little bodies.
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the other article about why organic fertilizer, so the follow-up piece is about why organic fertilizer is better. I won't read the whole thing here, but it does have to do with the slow release that you talked about, Mark, where this can take, according to this story, up to 4 years for the nitrogen to be released from manure and compost style fertilizers.
Okay.
Whereas if you just sprinkle the synthetic stuff, it's instantly available in full to the plants. And so yeah, there you go. We can talk to you more about it if you want to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450 free. Let's talk to Stephen in Virginia, watching us on YouTube. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, I just wanted to talk about this idea that I've been spreading for a couple of decades now.
Okay.
How the individual is greater than local government, is greater than state government, is greater than federal government.
All right. I don't think you're going to find much disagreement among the show hosts here on this one. The idea that the individual is should be the highest level of all those things.
Exactly. There are, I think, 89,000 local governments in the United States, and that's like giving one babysitter 89,000 children. We need to reverse that. It would be a whole lot better if the local government took care of everything and what they could not, the state, and then...
Why would that be better?
The federal government. Well, shoot. Sorry.
Why would that be better?
He believes he said the F-bomb.
I didn't even hear it.
I didn't really hear it either.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, maybe you got talked over.
So I didn't dump you, so keep going. What were you saying?
I just think that people should focus on local government more than anything. Show up to city council.
Well, Aria had asked you a question. And do you want to ask it again? I don't know if...
Sure. I mean, why is local government or focusing on local government better than federal government or state government?
Well, it's not necessarily better. It's just an idea that I have that local government can take care of things better than the federal government can.
In what ways?
You have a bigger voice in local government.
I would agree that the local government is more accountable. I mean, not much more, because they're still...
But what if you have a local government that is tyrannical?
Oh, I mean, they are tyrannical. I'm just saying they're a little bit more accountable.
Worse.
Well, the difference
Absolutely, they are.
Well, the difference is these people are your neighbors in a lot of cases. I mean, certainly in a place like New York City, they're probably not your neighbors. But here in Keene, New Hampshire, it's a city of 23,000 people. There's a good chance that there's a city councilor who literally lives a couple streets over from you. In this case, that's true. He lives right over there. I know where his house is. I see him walking his dog. And to some extent, when everybody's that close to one another, there's some level of extra accountability there, just because you know where they live. You know what I mean? I'm not suggesting violence or anything like that. I'm just saying there's something to that.
Absolutely not.
Stephen, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. I didn't hear anything. The board op didn't hear it. He didn't hit the dump button, so I'm not sure what Oh, nobody heard it. If there was something there. Anyway, thanks for the call. I think it's an interesting question to bring up. I don't think that it's obvious the federal government has no accountability whatsoever. Those people are hundreds, if not thousands, of miles away from people all around the United States, and you only have one or two so-called representatives that can go there, a handful of them or whatever, and purportedly represent you. But that's a total mythology. The idea that these people can represent you in the first place is ridiculous.
I would make the argument that there is no more accountability at the local level, and that any that we perceive is probably just illusory.
All right, what do you base that on?
What could we actually do to change the smoking ban here in Keene?
It would not be easy.
Assuming, even if 99% of the people are against it, or the sign for the Vietnamese or Korean restaurant.
The soon-to-open Vietnamese restaurant, which has been, by the way, the T-shirts for Pho Keene Great. That's the name of the restaurant. It's Pho Noodles in the town of Keene, and it's great. So that's the name. These shirts have been flying off the shelves. They have not been on shelves. They've been sold before they've even arrived.
How many
basically.
do you think have been sold?
Over 1,000. I was just there. I was just there at the T-shirt sales operation. It used to be the Bitcoin Embassy. It is now currently being used for primarily
Pho Keene Great T-shirt dispensary.
And orders have been coming in from all over the world for this, and it's been just an amazing phenomenon. So anyway, to get back to the question of, and by the way, if you want to order those shirts, you can order them over at the Route 101 Local Goods website, which I think is route101gifts.com. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me right now, so just look up for the shirt and you'll find it. It's the obvious choice. Anyway, so are they more accountable? You're saying they're not. That you don't believe that the local politicians are any more accountable.
I'm saying I have not been convinced of that.
Okay.
Because I have not been given any reason to believe that.
I'm not going to, like I said, I don't think they're a whole lot more accountable. They still get away with all kinds of terrible things. You mentioned things that were unpopular. The Bearcat was one of the first issues that I saw. This is the armored truck, basically, that the federal government gave almost $300,000 worth of taxpayer dollars to the city of Keene in a grant so they could purchase this armored truck from its manufacturer, and the police use it at whatever time they darn well feel like it. The federal government can come in and commandeer it at any time that they want to. That's one of the parts of the contract. And about 90% of the people in Keene were against that. City council voted for it overwhelmingly. And most of them weren't thrown out of office over it. So you've got a strong argument, too. There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
A doctor's office visit for erectile dysfunction on my smartphone? That's crazy.
No, that's thebestedpill.com. ED can affect 40% of men by age 40. Now there's a 95% less expensive option than Viagra. After a live confidential video consult with a fully licensed doctor, we ship medicines fast, free, and direct in discreet packaging. Read thousands of 5-star reviews. Click thebestedpill.com. That's bestedpill.com, the online doctor's office.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Now, there is Reveal. Beverly Hills celebrity dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman took nearly a decade to develop Reveal from natural botanicals to return to a full-body head of hair. Reveal for men and women with a 30-day money-back guarantee at gcnlife.com or toll-free 844-443-6637. 844-443-6637. Reveal at gcnlife.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial in toll free and you bring up whatever you want here. If you want, it is up to you. Toll free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
Don't forget, you can go to liberty.menu if you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and someone who agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. If you don't meet those qualifications, sorry, this message isn't for you.
GTFO.
Yep. Liberty.menu is for people who care about freedom, and it's about letting other people who are into freedom know about whatever it is that you're into, the thing that you do, the business that you have, the entrepreneurial activity that you're involved in, maybe the event that you're coordinating, or the digital content that you're a creator of. These are all categories that you can put your stuff into and then advertise it for free at liberty.menu. So there's no cost to list the things you do there for other liberty-minded folks to find and maybe send you some business. Go to liberty.menu. You can use code FTL. Get yourself a special Free Talk Live listener badge. We can't give you a discount because it's free. So go to liberty.menu and get started there. As we continue, we've got Sarah on the line in New Mexico. Coming up, some pretty landmark court cases. But first, Sarah, go ahead.
Yes, New Mexico, we're rated #1 state with the most dangerous places to live for senior citizens.
The most dangerous place to live for senior citizens. So what is killing off the senior citizens in New Mexico?
Well, you know what it is? We're #1 in pedestrian fatalities. What else?
So you think the pedestrian...
they're all getting killed by cars. You know, the people that get killed by the car the most are elderly people.
When I looked up pedestrian deaths in New Mexico, I was seeing there's notable that there were lots of drunks that were getting run over. Are they drunk?
Correct.
Are they drunk old people?
Well, and then also the elderly.
Okay.
Because they have vision problems, they have hearing problems, they got bad knees.
So old people are running over old people. Sounds like Darwinism.
I gotta say, when I visited Venice, Florida, and
you mean the place where the old people's grandparents go to die?
That's the joke in Sarasota. Is everybody's grandparents live in Sarasota, and their parents live in Venice. And
it's so true.
Yeah, they're turning left from the right lane, right from the left lane.
You constantly see these little old ladies. You can barely see the poof of their hair above the steering wheel. You know, like they can't see anything.
And
they're driving this big old boat kind of car, you know?
If you need parts for a late model Buick or Lincoln Cadillac, that is the place to go. I mean, the yards are just full of them because they're constantly getting wrecked, and the insurance companies keep on giving these people. I don't understand how they could possibly do it. Keep on giving these people cars.
Well, but the thing about the bewildering thing is that we have a lot of retiree senior citizens here that live with all of this danger, needles laying in the park, car theft, package theft, mail theft, home burglaries, and drug dealings, shootings. But they live here. There's there's a lot of people that live here that are elderly, and I'm wondering why. And then the safest place to live is Iowa. They were ranked #1
as far as safety for old people.
Yeah, the safest place for old people.
For old people, or specifically old people dying of car accidents?
Not just elderly people, safety for elderly people.
Well, I think it'd be great. I hope more elderly people move to Iowa.
See, I got to say, I don't think that that makes a lot of sense.
Moving to Iowa?
Well, I mean, I know I have some idea of what Iowa weather's like living in New Hampshire. I suspect that frozen ice falls from the sky, frozen water falls from the sky at least some points of the year. Then that means it lands on the ground. Then that snow at some point gets packed down into ice, and then the old people fall down and break parts.
Yeah.
Well, plus, I mean, if the contention is that old people are running over old people, the last thing we really want to do is to shuffle them all into one state. That's just going to increase the concentration of old people being run over by old people.
There's this place in Ocala, Florida, which is just miles and miles and miles of nothing but immaculate and beautiful mobile homes. The old people drive around in golf carts. They play shuffleboard. They do, they have bridge games. They got it's just this whole community. Now, when they're in golf carts, they really can't do anything to each other. I mean, it's not nearly as bad if they do. And I think that's how we should house the geriatric. And they seem so happy there. It's like a little zoo. We should have tours and just go see them.
Sarah, have you ever played shuffleboard?
No, I'm so much into calling talk shows. It consumes all of my energy. I'm calling the afternoon.
No time for games. Sarah's got talk shows to call.
That's right. I mean, I
important.
have to
She's about that business.
The local shows.
She's one of the better activists out there. Sarah, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. She's dedicated. She puts her time in. She's trying to make the government bigger, but, she is a dedicated activist.
I've played shuffleboard. What I haven't played is lawn bowling.
Yeah, I don't know if I've been on a shuffleboard court as a kid, but I'm pretty sure I haven't actually played the game in any meaningful.
It's a great game.
Meaningful way.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm good at it, but it's fun.
There's actually a shuffleboard court around here. I was surprised when I found it. It's in the basement of Chris Wade's house.
You got to be kidding me.
No, he was moving in. I mean, I don't feel like I'm revealing anything secret here. He's mentioned he's got a big basement. But it's like a nice finished basement. So it's one of the reasons why he moved into that house, because it's a ranch-style house, and they needed storage space. They're running, think Penguin, selling computer parts, so they got a lot of storage space. And when we were moving stuff in there, because we do these move-ins, right? Like if a new person moves here to the Keene, New Hampshire area, in fact, all across New Hampshire, if you let the Libertarians know, they will also, a lot of them will come out.
There's a move-in party on the way.
Yeah, and they'll help you move in, unload a huge truck full of stuff, which is what we were doing at Chris's house. And I'm walking down there, I'm like, there's a finished floor and a shuffleboard on the floor of this basement.
I can't believe that a basement would be big enough for a full shuffleboard court. It must be half a one.
It's huge. It's huge. Maybe it's only half. I don't know. I'm not
We got a
shuffleboard
shuffleboard court next door to my house.
Okay.
And it is long.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big basement. It is only a half one. I don't know, Mark. And I'm not familiar with the rules and the courts and all that. But I was like, wow, I haven't seen one of those since I lived in Florida. Somebody really must have liked shuffleboard. They put it in their basement. Yeah, toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. So, Aria, we were talking about government accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And you are not so sure that a local government is necessarily more accountable than a federal government.
Correct.
Now, I can make an argument for this, and I'll try my best here. And as I pointed out, they are accountable at the very least because you can find out where they live and make their lives more uncomfortable as a result of that. Because the fact is, these government guys, they really don't want you out in front of their house protesting. They really don't care for that. We've done that here in the past. There was a protest out in front of Eli Rivera's house, who is now the current sheriff. At the time, he was a police sergeant, and he allegedly used too much force with at least one of the activists in the area. And so there was a group of us that went to his home and protested out in front of it to let his family know and his neighbors know the violence, or the alleged violence, because it wasn't caught on video. So it was one person's word against another's. But, you know, he's a cop, and it's not hard for people to believe that cops can do that.
And he shot somebody in the back a couple of years later.
Yeah, back in the throat, I think it was. Killed the guy. But that's another story. This was before the shooting incident had happened. And so we were out in front of his house, and there was a large group of us at the time. I would say probably at least a dozen or so. And certainly it brought some attention to what that particular person was doing. And maybe his daughter, didn't know what her dad was like at work. And, who knows what she knew after the fact. They didn't come out to talk to us, that's for sure. But when Eli got home, he was not happy.
Yeah, but a few years later, he shot somebody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what effect did the accountability and protest
I don't think it
have?
does anything. And watching these activists here, if this is what accountability looks like on a local level, it doesn't work.
No, and like I said, the Bearcat was massively opposed by locals, and the city council went ahead and voted for it. It's what the cops wanted. So the cops wanted it, the people didn't. Like 90% of the people didn't want it. But we got it anyway.
It's just a theory Ian has.
We're coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Dogosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Dogosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Dogosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
People are saying it could be a baby bump. Our senior celebrity correspondent, Tyler, is here. Tyler, you always have the inside dish. What's the deal?
She looks like she got fat, so she might have a baby in her tummy.
Oh? What else have you heard?
I heard she has a boyfriend, and they have sex.
That's right. You know, the Hollywood couple vacationed in Rome together just 2 months ago.
They had a big hotel room, and I can tell you what they did in it.
Spill it, Tyler.
He put his penis in her vagina.
Hot. She is one lucky gal.
And she's going crazy.
Uh-oh, is stardom starting to wear on Emma?
Yeah, she's crazy and dumb. She put a carrot in her vagina.
Whoa, do tell.
Yeah, she said, oh, this carrot's like my boyfriend's penis. I'm gonna rub it all over my vagina. I'm so gross. Then she ate it like Bugs Bunny.
What a hot mess. Hey, Emma, get it together, girl. Tyler, you are breaking news as always.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Plenty of time for you. If you want to join us here, you can take control of the airwaves. We're talking about accountability of the government. The government people. Is it possible to hold a local government person, a politician, more accountable than those further away at, say, the state level or D.C.? If you want to jump in and share your thoughts, the number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord call-in lines over at discord.lrn.fm. And don't forget, you can join us over at our website at freetalklive.com. There is a web forum, and it's a great forum, I got to say. People, I understand, young kids probably never used a forum, but this is the way people used to communicate on the internet before social media, and it's actually a much better way of doing it. It's much better organized, and this forum that we have is very modern. It's not the old style forums where every time on the old forums you had to, and we had one of these, the Free Talk Live BBS for years. It's now retired, but where every time you would post, it'd have to reload the page before you could actually see the post on the page.
Yep.
And if you posted but another person had posted before you posted on the same thread, then it would ask you if you wanted to reload the page before you posted your things. It was just it was clunky. And the forum software we're using is very modern, very snappy, very fast, very slick, easy to use images and everything. So check it out over at forum.freetalklive.com. It's part of the larger Shire forums, and it's a great way to interact with other people who care about freedom in a much more organized manner than, say, just a live chat room, which, of course, the Discord is great for live chat over at discord.lrn.fm. And it's always busy. And the forum, not as busy as Discord, but it's there, and there's some good threads and some good conversations happening there. So check that out at forum.freetalklive.com. We can continue here talking about holding government politicians accountable. I am not doing a very persuasive job at making my case that
because it doesn't work.
That you can hold local politicians more accountable.
No, and I think it would actually be harder as I sit here thinking about it, because you get someone like Rivera, and his family is going to support him no matter what.
Sure,
his church group is going to support him no matter what.
Yep.
I mean, you start getting into that good old boys kind of thing going on, where it really doesn't matter what he's do. They're going to, through some combination of cognitive dissonance or just through sheer willful disbelief, always
or
going
out
to
and out violence.
The person they know.
Or out and out violence of actually targeting you and coming after you, destroying your property, trumping up charges. You're right. If you mess with the good old boys, there's some tough times that could befall you as a result.
I think
of
it's
that.
worth pointing out that you have been a really good activist here in Keene, New Hampshire. You do not.
Some would say I'm a terrible activist, but
meaning.
It's
You're
all
too
kinds
active?
of opinions exist about the activism that has happened in Keene.
Yeah, but as far as a critique goes, you support the other activists. You're out there. You're doing stuff all the time. And at this point, you have, for whatever reason, the people of Keene, New Hampshire, many of them, some large percentage of them. I don't know if it's a majority, a plurality, or whatever. But you're infamous. I've lived here for 12 years now. I know what people think about you. They know what they're supposed to think.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to think something bad.
Yeah.
They're not entirely sure why or how or what you've done, but there's always something that somebody can mention.
Yeah,
so
people don't like activists.
They'll misinterpret this thing or that thing that occurred, and as a result, if they're supposed to dislike you, then what are they supposed to do with the person that you're protesting? They're supposed to like them. So now,
So
you've got
Rivera's
this
now sheriff.
What's that?
So Rivera's now the
Eli
sheriff.
Rivera, the man who shot somebody in the back. Frankly, if he's stealing some computer parts, and that's what it was all over, stealing some computer parts. Look, fleeing felon rule. It's fine. It's legal, but it's just not worth shooting somebody over things, in my opinion. And sheriff. So.
Well, there's another side to it. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to try to make my my argument. I agree with you. The good old boys, they're entrenched, and the good old boys exist in every town, everywhere. Okay, so this Keene is no different than any town USA in that way. The good old boys frequently are the old family names, the ones that go back for generations, that have been there for a long time. They're wealthy, they're connected, they're business people, they're mafia, they're you name it, right? So good old boys. They're hard to fight against, and they will use violence, and the government is a violent organization that is entrenched wherever it is. Of course, the local governments, they have budgets, unlike the federal government, which can print its own money out. And yes, you can know who these people are, and they can know who you are, and that changes the dynamic of how interactions can go. And I can tell you this, that at the state level, here in New Hampshire, state representatives get paid about $100 a year. There's a gas stipend as well, but the actual pay is $100 a year. That's the basic pay rate there. There are many of them who have thrown up their hands in frustration and have said, you know what? This just isn't worth it. All the hassles that we're having to deal with, all these people bugging us about stuff and just, being mean to us or whatever, because, whatever you do as a state rep, somebody's not going to like it.
Sure.
And you're only getting paid $100 a year. So there are definitely some state reps who've been like, screw this.
And
I'm
also,
done. I'm leaving. I'm out of here and I'm doing something else.
It's worth pointing out, as a person who's a member of a 400-person body, which was what the size. It's the third largest legislative body in the English-speaking world.
That's right.
And oftentimes your vote doesn't count. In the same thing, when you're in a city of 10,000 and you vote, well, the chances of you making a difference are very, very slim. The chances in 400 are pretty slim for your vote making a difference. Not to say it's as slim as that, but it's slim. So, if you're voting 100 times in a given year and one time, your vote makes a difference, you're probably going to say, I don't know if it's worth me even showing up here.
So what I'm trying to drive at here is we've already seen the evidence that these people can be not forced out of office, but incentivized to leave office by their life being difficult. And so if you make their life more difficult by, let's say, protesting in front of their house or letter writing campaigns or whatever it is that bugs them, then that's more likely to drive them out. If you have enough activists to do these sorts of things, and we have a good amount of activists here in New Hampshire that hopefully will just keep growing larger over time, it'll make things more and more uncomfortable for these people over time. If at the same time you have libertarians running as, let's say, Republicans or Democrats, and maybe even as libertarians in these races to replace them when they leave, there's a good chance that some liberty-minded folks are going to get elected to replace them. So over time, we can see a shift. Keene is one of the toughest places because it's an entrenched statist bureaucracy. It's in the corner of Vermont and Massachusetts. There's a college here. It's one of the most statist places in New Hampshire. But over time, throughout the state, this is a possibility. It is possible to frustrate these people to the point they're just, $100 ain't worth it. I don't have enough power. I'm gone. right? These are people who have, in many cases, if they're not retired.
That's not an argument for local. That's an argument for state.
But it's still, they're more accountable because they're closer. At that 400 state representatives, one representative only represents, if you do the math, into like 1.4 million. It's like basically 3,500 people or so. I think is like kind of the typical average. So these people are closer to home. They're more responsible as a result of that. Not much more. But you can actually get these people on the phone. You can actually talk to these people.
But when you're talking about state level stuff, I think that's the most effective thing you can do. I would agree with you that local level stuff here in Keene, New Hampshire is pointless and makes people hate you. And whereas, and by the way, the vast majority of activists that have moved to Keene, New Hampshire no longer live here.
Well, let me tell you, they're going to hate you anyway. Even if you start to take away the welfare programs, if you start to take away the government,
they probably don't know your name if you're working on the state level. So there may be some activists, but here in Keene, New Hampshire, lots of people know your name.
They do.
Okay, so local activism, I'm just going to dismiss that here at the very least in this particular geographic area, and I'm going to talk about the state level. If on the state level what you're talking about is true, you manage to drive off all the statists, and suddenly you've got a bunch of liberty activists in there. Maybe you've got, I don't know, pick your number. We've had as many as 120 endorsed by the New Hampshire Liberty
but those
Alliance.
Aren't actual libertarians.
Fine, you get yourself a full 120.
I'll give you 20.
Oh, all right, so you give 100. Success is 120. Then 120 real good liberty activists.
Success would be 201.
Well, okay. I don't think you're going to get there, and let me tell you why. Because you're going to have little successes along the way. Those little successes are going to result in prosperity, longevity, happiness, and all the things that we say that the ideas of liberty are going to bring. When they do that, people will hear that in Vermont and New Hampshire, or excuse me, Vermont and Massachusetts and Maine and perhaps Connecticut and as far and wide as Rhode Island and New York, and they're going to move here. And they're going to continue to vote the way that they voted before because Mammy and Pappy voted that way, and that's how they were taught to vote.
It won't matter if you've got libertarians running both as Republicans and
Democrats.
Democrats.
Then they will vote the way that they wanted to vote.
But it won't matter.
Then you'll see then the statist stuff
Voters
comes
aren't
back.
the same as activists. And what you're doing is you're basically arguing against doing anything at all, Mark, with this particular argument.
I think you've got to go someplace and build. I don't think you have to. I think you've got to do something
Well, then let's not have
different.
the negativity then, okay? Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733 because what you're saying here is basically pointless to do anything because they're just going to undo it. There's more on the way. If we get enough liberty-minded people to focus in one place, they can't fight it because the average mover isn't an activist.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. To secure your spot, text JOIN to 76280. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. To join American Cannabis Summit, text JOIN to 76280. Attendance is free. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Find us online at snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your Liberty Beat for Monday, January 14th, 2019. Gold opened today at $1,294. Silver opened at $15.60. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,676. Today's prices are brought to you by CMM Digital, supplying cinematic video production. When quality is your highest priority, CMM Digital delivers. Visit them today at cmmdigital.space. In the news, President Donald Trump Monday rejected the suggestion that he temporarily reopen government while negotiations continue on his proposed border wall, signaling no speedy resolution to the partial government shutdown now into a fourth week. Leaving the White House for a trip to New Orleans, Trump said he had dismissed the proposal from Republican Senator Lindsey Graham to reopen for several weeks and continue dealing with Democrats over Trump's long-promised wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Trump also backed further away from the idea of declaring a national emergency as an escape hatch, saying, quote, "I'm not looking to call a national emergency. This is so simple we shouldn't have to," end quote. As Congress returned to Washington for their second week of legislative business since House control reverted to Democrats, the shutdown hit day 24, affecting federal workers and services with no end in sight. Trump has demanded $5.7 billion for his long-promised wall, while Democrats who oppose the wall as both immoral and wasteful insist Trump reopen the government before they negotiate border security. The Associated Press reports that Trump argued from the White House that he alone was ready to negotiate, noting that a group of House and Senate Democrats were touring hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. And Liberty Beat listeners right now can get 10% off your purchase. Just use promo code SNLS to receive the discount. Find out those details at mybravebotanicals.com. The news now continues. China's diplomatic clash with Canada escalated sharply Monday when a Chinese court sentenced a Canadian to death for drug smuggling at a one-day retrial ordered weeks after a Chinese executive's arrest in Canada. The New York Times reports that in announcing the death penalty against the Canadian, Robert Lloyd Schellenberg, the court gave no indication that his sentence might be reduced to prison time. Schellenberg's fate could become a volatile factor in diplomacy between Beijing and Ottawa in the aftermath of the arrest by Canadian authorities of a Chinese technology executive in British Columbia last month, a move that incensed the Chinese government. Journalist Carl Bernstein over the weekend said he's been told that special counsel Robert Mueller's report will show how President Donald Trump helped Russia destabilize the United States. Newsweek reports that Bernstein Sunday appeared on CNN's Reliable Sources to discuss two reports released over the weekend, one from the New York Times and the other from the Washington Post, which revealed new details about whether or not Trump and his aides colluded with Russia. The Post reported that Trump has gone to extraordinary lengths to conceal direct conversations that he has had with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Times article reports the FBI opened a counterintelligence investigation into Trump after he fired former Bureau Director James Comey in 2017, suspecting the president could be working on behalf of Russia. Trump has angrily denied allegations that he worked with Russia and has regularly attacked the media for reporting on the investigation. But Bernstein, during his CNN appearance, slammed Trump's dismissal of the probe. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details on how to raise your business's profile in partnership with the Liberty Beat. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at snls.news, your one-stop destination for liberty news and commentary. Coming soon to SNLS is The Bones of Anarchy, a podcast produced by activist Tony Bones. The Bones of Anarchy, coming soon to snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow for the Liberty Beat on this Monday, January 14th, 2019. Spread liberty with a smile.
The Tallahassee Zoo, which faced a major budget crisis. Luckily, they were able to get both, keep guests and animals happy and stay profitable.
And that's thanks to the zoo's new director, Maxwell Jeffries.
Happy to be here, thank you.
Good morning.
Now, what's the most profitable part of the zoo? The elephants, the tigers?
No, the gift shop, okay? Food court. But now the entire zoo is the gift shop. So you come to the zoo, you look around, you see something you like, make me an offer. I'm a businessman. I want to make people happy. You're probably familiar with the old saying, don't feed the animals.
Oh, right, of course.
Okay, well, that's old-fashioned thinking. At our zoo, you can feed the animals.
Anything you want?
Anything you want. Oats, eggs, batteries, you name it. And we also invented a new tiered membership system. So for your standard membership, you go to the zoo, you get to see the animals. For your gold level membership, you get to pick any two animals, make them fight each other. Yeah. And then with a platinum, you get 1 hour alone in the zoo. No questions asked. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You may take control of the airwaves here as we continue and launch into the third hour of the program. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And we've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Here tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
We continue with your calls and thoughts. Coming up, we got to talk about some court-related stuff, especially some really interesting decisions that have come out recently. One about your right to secretly record government officials, and the other one was, recently about your phone and fingerprints and forcing people to use biometric data to open their phones under the threat of police. We'll tell you more about that coming up here, but let's go to the phones first. And to the phone, we got John calling us from Michigan. John, you're on the line. Go ahead. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, I was just wondering what your opinions are on third wave feminism.
What is third wave feminism, John?
It's like the newest form of feminism where it's like feminism you see in today's media.
So, like, it's new and improved, whitens whites.
Can you give us an example?
All right. I don't know what that was, but it sounded like music. And this is a talk show, so we're not here to listen to music. Thank you for the call tonight. But are you guys familiar with these different waves of feminism?
I'm familiar with misogynists generally using it as a pejorative against feminists. I'm not familiar with anyone actually sitting down to identify what they consider to be third-wave feminism.
Well, I'll go ahead and take a shot at it. Pretty much anything that comes after equality under the law. Like...
That was the first wave feminism,
No,
right?
first wave feminism is temperance and voting.
Okay.
Second wave feminism, I would say, is basically the culmination of all that and the equality under the law, that kind of thing. Maybe some level of equal pay, talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, what in many cases we've seen over time is that the equal pay it's equal when you start looking at the hours and the jobs worked, but not necessarily, male to female.
Sure. Well, I mean, historically, men work more hours than females, and that's still true to this day.
Yep. And they, so therefore they should make more if they're working more hours, right?
Absolutely.
Makes sense. So third wave feminism, I don't know. I think that feminism as a belief system is so scattered and fractured that it doesn't even mean anything anymore. Like, feminists disagree with feminists about all kinds of things, to the point that there's not even really one idea that's even central anymore. They'll tell you, what's the Mott and Bailey fallacy that they tell you is that feminism is about equality. Right?
Well, and it certainly used to be.
It's a terrible name for...
LGBT rights used to be about equality, too. And neither one of those things are about equality any longer. It's about making sure women are the ones in power. It's sexism in the opposite direction now.
Right.
Just like the LGBT movement is orientationism in the opposite direction.
But that's really the problem with feminism, is that it was necessarily going to be sexism in the opposite direction. Because what you said was, okay, and it was true, right? There's no doubt about it. Women were treated different under the law at the time.
Sure.
Is that we need to, in order to create equality in the sexes, we need to take this ball and we need to run it up the field until we get to equality, right? Well,
or we could embrace individualism.
Sure. There's people that call themselves individualist feminists, though.
That's a contradiction in terms.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
But to me, so if you're a feminist and
I'm an individualist collectivist.
If you're running the ball up the field as a feminist, at some point or another you get past the 50-yard line, and now you're taking your belief system past equality into, something else. And obviously the sexes are never going to be equal. The genders or whatever we're calling them. I'm not even entirely sure.
Well, they can be equal, but they don't have to be homogenous.
They're not going to be the same.
Yeah.
2 plus 2 is 4 and 3 plus 1 is 4.
Right.
Those are equal, not the same. But I mean, do I, as a man, so I've got the stronger shoulder girdle, and there's not many women that are ever going to have the shoulder girdle that I've got, right? That doesn't mean that they get something that's better. From a physical standpoint, they get to have children, and I can't. But that's all they get. They don't get to say, well, I get this thing more, or that thing more into the law. It should just be the law recognizes people as people, and then after that, y'all can figure it out from there. If employers somehow have managed to figure it out that they get the incredible productivity of the feminine half of the species at a 70% discount. I don't believe this for a second, but if they've worked that out, then by God, they worked it out. It is okay. Because I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I'm going to tell this person, and this person how they got to pay. Because I don't know anything about their businesses.
Toll-free number if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE.
I know on Free Talk Live, we look for female co-hosts. Because
they're hard to find, though.
Yeah, they are hard to find.
Especially in the libertarian movement.
Right. The voice is different, right? Aria, your voice is different than mine.
It's true. Yeah. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. Tom is in New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
By the way, another part of the feminist movement, believe it or not, had the sexist math books. You wonder, how can a math book be sexist? When, the math problems, well, they were word problems like, John makes $40 a week and Mary makes $20 a month. How much do they make in a total of a year? And you're supposed to add it all up, but it subconsciously conditions girls to expect that they should make less than their boys. But what I'm calling about today is about the government shutdown. Remind people.
Yeah, it's continuing. It's a world record, or at least U.S. record. I don't know if it's a world record, but it's a record for the United States.
Somalia, world anarchy leader.
What they got to do? Well, if people got nothing to do tomorrow, you can call up congressional offices and tell them, first of all, the strategy is going to have to be to override the president's veto. And if the Senate won't take up the bill because Senate Mitch McConnell won't consider bills from the House that the president is going to veto, then it's his fault too. But be sure that you pass a budget that doesn't have any money for the Department of Education and no money.
Is Department of Education on the current list of those that are shut down? Do you happen to know?
I don't know, but the Department of Education, remember, it has no place in the Constitution. Also, no federal.
I mean, the whole government basically has no place in the Constitution. I mean, there's very, very little that the federal government does that is constitutional these days.
No money for the border wall and no money for the border patrol.
Well, the good news is the border patrol is actually cut off. I've got a story about that here from over the weekend. That it's particularly ironic that Trump is demanding money for a border wall, while at the same time the Border Patrol is working without pay.
And the other part about it is no money to bribe the states to commit a hate crime against people under 21. No money for the DEA, because if you want to get stoned, that's your business.
It's true. The Department of Justice is, as far as the government shutdown, it is being affected by it. So the DEA, if they're working without pay right now.
Department of Education remains open during shutdown.
Thank you, Tom, for the call tonight. Yes, but are they one of the bureaucracies that is included in the list of those who are not getting paid?
I thought they all were.
No. They all? What do you mean? They all?
I thought everybody working for the government right now wasn't getting paid.
Just non-essential employees.
No. Okay, so no. There's a list. If you go and you pull it up, there's a list of specific bureaucracies. The Department of Justice is one of them. So DHS and Border Patrol and FBI and all these Bureau of Prisons, they're not getting a paycheck. They missed their first paycheck on Friday. About 400,000 government employees, federal government employees, are being told, you got to come to work if you want to keep your job, and you're not getting a paycheck until the government restarts, in which case then you'll get back pay. The other 400,000, of which the 800,000 total is still only a fraction of the full federal government. So the other 400,000 are being told, you're not essential, you can just stay home. And then you'll get paid after the government comes back for not working at all in that particular case. So those are the two categories. But the 800,000 total is still only, I've heard estimates of 10 to 25%, depending on how you...
So nobody except for Congress is getting paid, basically?
No. The majority of the federal government is there working and getting paid.
Okay.
It's just some of these bureaucracies, and if you look it up...
Are not getting paid.
Yeah.
Some of them have to work and some of them don't.
Correct. That's correct. Or they can quit their jobs if they don't want to, go to work. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. You can join us here. So the Border Patrol is in that category of people who are working but not getting paid. TSA as well. Free Talk Live.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll free. Take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And there's the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Smart Cash. Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency. It's fast, secure, and it's easy to use. That's true of pretty much most of them. But what Smart Cash, I think, is doing that makes them special, besides the fact that there seems like a lot of libertarians involved with it, because they're sponsoring like just about every libertarian show out there. But they've got some cool stuff they're doing that's different, like the smart voting that they do, where you can vote with Smart Cash in their proposals, because people can make a proposal that I want to do this with Smart Cash. You know, in this case, we made a proposal to have them advertise on Free Talk Live.
Yeah.
And the smart people voted for it overwhelmingly. Thank you to everybody who did that, by the way. It was like 87, 88, 89%.
Yeah, it's really nice to see everybody on board with the idea.
Yeah, it's nice, especially after we just failed miserably at a couple of other different cryptos.
Well, we failed less miserably than everybody else who was putting in a proposal.
That's true. But Smart Cash seems to have a good vision. They care about liberty, and they've got this voting system that allows everybody to participate. So there are other cryptocurrencies where you have to hold a lot of the crypto in order to be able to participate in the voting system. Here, if you've got one smart, you've got a vote. If you've got more than one smart, you've got more than one vote. And getting more than one smart isn't hard to do, considering they cost less than 2 cents a piece right now. In fact, it would actually be hard to just buy one smart. So go ahead and learn a little bit more about Smart Cash. They've got a great-looking website. It's easy to navigate over at smartcash.cc. And they've also got Smart Rewards, which is another unique program where they're encouraging holding of Smart by, if you have 1,000 Smart, at least 1,000 Smart, in one address, and you hold the keys to that address, your wallet address. If you hold the keys, you can't use somebody else's, you can't have somebody else holding your keys for you.
Especially like an exchange.
Yeah, exactly. So if you hold the keys and there's at least 1,000 Smart and it's there for at least a month and there's no outgoing transactions from that wallet, you'll receive Smart Rewards. It's a very cool process. Go to smartcash.cc. That's smartcash.cc to learn more about Smart Cash. As we continue here, we'll continue with your calls and thoughts. We got Tony. He's in Jackson, Michigan. Tony, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that I hope the government stays shut down. I hope we have whole group of young people that suddenly realize that the government's not doing anything for them. And as far as I'm concerned, it could stay down. It could stay until at least another 2 years. But we'll probably get somebody to acquiesce at some point.
Yeah, somebody's going to break.
Well, right now, I think the general perception among young people is that it's an enormous inconvenience and that it's very, very bad. I think that it will have to go on for years.
How are they being inconvenienced?
Well, they can't go to the national parks and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you guys report on Call to Freedom today that libertarians were threatened that they couldn't pick up litter at a couple national parks?
Well, they weren't threatened. They were just told to leave.
Well, that's a threat, because if you stick around, what happens?
They can call the Working for Free FBI, I suppose.
I doubt the FBI is going to investigate an incident of an unauthorized park cleanup, but the park rangers probably have guns and handcuffs. And if they order you to leave a place and you don't,
they sure are scary.
Then that's generally considered criminal trespass at that point. So that would be a criminal misdemeanor, likely arrest in that case. Although I haven't seen the video. Did you watch it? Was there video? Did you watch any of it? I don't know if there's video of this, but if a park ranger is saying you're not welcome, well, I would have some questions for
yes, you would.
in that particular
He's
case.
right. He's right, Aria. He would have some questions.
They should have. And, again, I don't know if they had these questions or they had any questions or recorded video, but they should have. That way we could, you could say, well, are you ordering me to leave or are you just asking me to leave? Because if you're just ordering or you're just asking, then I'll just keep staying here and picking up litter if that's all right. But if they're ordering you, then it's criminal trespass if you don't leave. Anyway, Tony, I agree with you. I think the government should stay shut down. But as time goes on, that's going to result in some very interesting consequences that some people are going to see as quite negative. For instance, how long will the prison guards continue to work without getting paid?
Sure. I mean, they could come up and fund some individual stuff. I don't know, but
can they? Can they do it one at a time?
They couldn't do anything they want to do. Yeah. They're just unlikely to do it. Somebody's going to break
true.
them.
One of my favorite videos is from the last shutdown, watching the World War II veterans scale the barricades in front of their memorial when the park was closed to be able to get to the World War II memorial.
You're talking about a bunch of old guys scaled a fence?
It's a good thing they weren't driving.
No, they weren't scaling, but I mean, they just pushed the barricade over and said,
"Okay,
we're going to our memorial," But these guys landed at Normandy, like a little park barricade is going to stop them. Yeah, well, they had those flights, but where they get a whole bunch of guys together and they show up, and they showed up and the park was closed, so they went in anyway.
They don't want to tell these guys about the bonus war. World War I vets went to Washington, D.C. to demand their benefits when, at the Great Depression, and it was like Patton, and I can't remember which other ones.
They ordered them shot.
Yeah, they rode through on cavalry.
Open fire.
They didn't kill a whole bunch, but I mean, things got set on fire. All kinds of. It was
people did get shot and killed, though, did they?
I'll look at that for you. People died. Yeah. I don't know how many people were shot and killed.
Tony, good call, man. Thanks for sharing your thoughts tonight. I appreciate it. Let's go and continue here. David in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Hey, yeah, I was talking to my two Jewish public defenders today, looking at all the ways that the state of New Mexico has been screwing up.
What's the relevance of their religion?
It's insight from last night. Mark can tell you.
It may not be their religion. It could just be their
ethnicity.
Ethnicity, thank you, yeah. So what's the relevance of bringing that up?
This DV thing is one of the areas. Remember we were talking about how they put this charge down as a domestic violence, a DV case number?
You're referring to, you got to remember, there's always new people listening, David. So you're referring to the recent arrest where you were arrested for calling a talk radio show on a public radio station operating out of a college that had asked you to not call back. You called back, and then you picked up a criminal charge. And you said that they charged it under a domestic violence court number, but it's not a domestic violence charge. It was just you're doing something that essentially, like, it's not a harassment charge, but it's related to that. It's basically phone harassment.
Yeah, and right, yeah. And thanks for recapping that for me. You do it better than I do. The interesting thing, they put it down as a domestic violence charge when I have no relationship with the people that run the radio station. Right. And the theme here is the genius of our government. And I get two different stories when I've been talking to the public defenders and to the court clerks themselves, the judge's assistants, put it that way, on this why this is put up as a DV. The first conversation I had with the public defenders was that actually there's three parts. The first time I asked about it, the public defender, the clerks there, the paralegal said the DV comes from how the officer, what statute the officer chooses to use, because sometimes there's more than one statute to cover the same offense. And so this officer happens
Hold that thought here. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. How is it a phone harassment charge involving strangers on the radio can be charged as a domestic violence charge? More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit shiresociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial on in here toll free. Bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have a Twitch channel. You can watch us there. In fact, Aria, you've got your own Twitch channel.
I do.
And a new blog.
Yes.
Can we promote your new blog?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me what the URL is?
Yeah, it's theanarchistshemale.com.
Which you used to have a shorter URL.
I used to have anarchistshemale.com.
But don't go there because somebody else snatched it up.
They're trying to sell cards or something.
Yeah.
Cards?
Yeah.
So for a time you had this old blog and you've now relaunched it, basically. Does it have all the old back content on it?
It does.
Okay.
Going back 3 years, 400 or somewhere around there.
That many posts? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Right on. So you actually wrote a really interesting piece over the weekend because you and I went to the Republican meeting. And Mark, you suspiciously were absent from it, but Aria and I were there. And I got to say,
thank you for your service.
I was, because I wrote an article which you actually linked to about the Libertarians losing their ballot access, and did a lot of the Free Staters have it right? The idea of why bother with the Libertarian Party? Why not infiltrate the two big parties? After all, that's what's so frustrating.
The most famous guy in Keene and a transsexual with bright red hair. He didn't infiltrate anything.
I didn't say we were infiltrating it, dude.
The word infiltrate was used.
You can't, right. We can't infiltrate anything in Keene, okay? What I was talking about is the rest of New Hampshire,
okay,
where they have infiltrated to some extent, right? A lot of them have kept quiet about their true libertarian beliefs. I don't agree with that particular approach. I think you shouldn't keep quiet about your beliefs if you believe in liberty, and you and I certainly aren't going to when talked to about that. We stayed seated during the Pledge of Allegiance, followed up by, as I think you described it, an actual hymn.
Yes, it was absolutely a hymn.
What was the hymn?
My country 'tis. One guy starts singing. One guy starts singing that in the whole room.
And I have it on record, but it was absolutely a hymn. And the reason I say that is because when it ended, you could hear just one woman say out loud, "Amen."
Amen.
It's like a 45-second long clip at the very beginning, and it's just...
So you did a great write-up of your experience at a Republican meeting for presumably the first time. I've never been to one of these things before December.
I've never been to one.
So this was my second one. And I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised of the warm welcome that we received. I didn't know exactly what to expect. A lot of them obviously knew who I am, Mark, but a number of them didn't know who you were, even though you had actually, Aria, challenged their candidate for sheriff in the last election. In fact, the sheriff was sitting right behind you and I.
Was he?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to introduce you, but maybe
Eli
next
Rivera?
time. No,
Nelson.
He's a Democrat. This is the Republican,
the sheriff candidate.
Sorry, the sheriff candidate who did not win and has not won against Rivera.
I was curious about that, whether or not he was there.
Yep, he was there.
Interesting.
So anyway, we're kind of just trying things from a different approach here. The Libertarians have lost their ballot access, and my thought is the Republicans are particularly weak in Keene.
They are.
In fact, in Cheshire County in general, but Keene specifically is a Democrat stronghold. They didn't even field more than one candidate for state rep.
They're basically a minor party in Cheshire County.
The Libertarians had more candidates in Keene than the Republicans did in 2016.
Yeah.
So the thought was, you know what, these
2018.
guys, 2018. Thank you. These guys need some candidates, and we looked at their. I looked at their code.
So I've brought the most reviled man in Keene and a bright red-headed transsexual. Throw flowers at my feet, ladies and gentlemen.
The fact is, we are not too bad as far as we kind of agree with them on a lot of stuff. There's a fair amount of them who are self-described libertarians. The new vice chairman of the party that was just elected at this meeting is a self-described libertarian. He came up to me at a candidates event that they had in Walpole.
Did you scream at him he's not a real libertarian?
No.
Okay.
What would the point of that be?
I don't know, but you do it on the air.
Real life isn't talk radio.
Okay.
Mark, just so you know. But anyway, he came up and it was after this candidates forum where multiple candidates had presented, and I'm getting some snacks afterwards. It's kind of the part where people can talk to one another after the forum. He came up specifically to talk to me. He'd moved to New Hampshire from New Jersey and self-described as a libertarian, but got involved in the Republicans. And there were at least a couple of folks or a few folks in that room that would probably describe similarly. So I have to say I'm a little optimistic for this different strategy of getting involved in the other two parties. It's the thing that the Libertarians hate, is when the Republicans and Democrats infiltrate the Libertarian Party. But here we've got good enough numbers to where we can infiltrate their parties, and why shouldn't we? They've already built the infrastructure. Let's put it to use.
They're certainly keeping the Libertarians out. So, you could either stay out and complain about being kept out, or you can get in.
And the fact is, people blindly vote their party. It's just, I wish, people would pay attention, but they don't. So they just blindly vote for whoever's got the Republican or Democrat. The ultimate, I think, challenge is to have liberty-minded folks on both of the main political parties, meaning having elections where both the Republican and the Democrat
that's happened
are actual libertarians. It has happened once or twice so far, but it needs to happen like in a third of the elections or something like that.
Awesome.
So we need more people moving here. Go to move.shiresociety.com. You can learn about the New Hampshire Freedom Migration. We got a new guy that just showed up at Social Sundays last night. Just bought a house in the region, which is great. Free Talk Live, longtime listener of Free Talk Live, amplifier of the show.
Great.
Great guy. He came out last night, and there's another couple that's moving into Keene next week. So it's happening. We just need more people to move sooner. Let's go back to David. He is talking about his charge of a domestic violence-related charge for calling a talk show, and you were giving us the explanations you've been hearing as to why this was charged as a domestic violence. So go ahead.
Yeah, and this is just one small little segment in the overall case, and the theme here is to demonstrate the nonstop chain of errors that your government makes every time you do the simplest of transactions with them. So I got two different explanations depending on whether I talk to depending on who I'm talking to. And the first one was that the officer, when he writes it up, he has to pick a statute because sometimes there's more than one statute that covered the same offense. And so the first explanation was that the officer went to the DV code and picked the telephone harassment from the DV code, and therefore it falls under DV. And then when I talked to and that may be true, but then when I talked to the public defender, the attorney himself, I found out some more things, and that's that there's actually a history here. The public defenders themselves once formally went to the judges of the Metropolitan Court in Albuquerque and confronted them on the fact that why are you putting these charges under domestic violence when there's no incident of domestic violence that has occurred? And the judges come back with one, we're not going to change it because if we put these cases that need to be on a court of record, because the Metropolitan Court handles traffic tickets, things that where the record is not actually engaged. There's no record of the hearing, no recording, no transcription, and that kind of thing.
There's a courtroom with no record?
Yeah, you have what's called courts of record and then courts that are not courts of record. And
stunning.
The lower level stuff, pardon?
Stunning.
I've never heard of this before. Is this a New Mexico specific thing?
I doubt it.
Hard to find stenographers?
Yeah, probably. Pardon?
Hard to find stenographers?
I think that this is, everywhere. Probably there may be venues, states where every court is a court of record.
So what's that have to do with DV?
They want to make sure that it's written down and recorded.
In their record keeping system, if there is something that they want to be for sure indicated as that it needs to be a on the record proceeding, that if they use the DV classification, that will ensure that it gets recorded.
They'll get an actual court stenographer in there to do. I would be shocked to find out there's not an audio recording of every single court hearing that happens in New Mexico. Thank you for the call tonight, David. But then again, the government has certainly been shocking in a lot of ways. But that would be a real surprise.
It's not that hard to find somebody to do transcripts from recording.
I thought all courts were on the record, meaning recorded in some way. We're coming up.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. To secure your spot, text JOIN to 76280. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. To join American Cannabis Summit, text JOIN to 76280. Attendance is free. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. Maybe enough time for you. If you dial in now, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Plus, thank you to Purple Lotus, who is a Free Talk Live silver amplifier and one of the newer Free Talk Live amplifiers. We're getting down to the final few of the newest, because we've been going in order, right? Roughly. We've been going sort of from the oldest of the amplifiers, that's where we started, and all the way down to the most newest ones. So we're on the final few of the list of less than 200 amplifiers. So thank you to everybody who amps the show. You guys guys and gals make a huge difference here to Free Talk Live, making it possible for us to do outreach to new radio stations. I was on the phone with a few of them today, and I did confirm the news about our new affiliate. I think I can make a mention of it here, but I'm not going to officially announce them until Saturday night. But we are now on in another top 10 market, Washington, D.C. We are on
Market 7
Saturday nights in the belly of the beast.
Now, it's not live.
1 hour will be during our live show. It will not be a live hour
content.
Yeah, it'll be delayed by
so
2
if you
hours.
can imagine, the 7 to 10 show is played from 9 to
1 a.m.
1.
And there's another hour from Friday.
And so the first hour will be heard while we're on the third hour.
Correct. So we may get some calls in that third hour on Saturday night from Washington, D.C.
Some confused and
maybe Trump
people
himself will find Free Talk Live, because I've heard that he listens to the radio. I've heard he listens to talk radio. So it could happen.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, I'm for it.
And I thought it was great that on it wasn't my plan necessarily, but it just so happened that on Saturday night this weekend,
if he calls in, I'm going to ask him for a pardon for Ross Ulbricht.
There you go. It's a great idea. The first night we were on the air in D.C., which was this past Saturday, of course, we were talking about the government shutdown and trashing on the government. So it was a perfect first episode to be in the belly of the beast. Anyway, that's the Free Talk Live AMP program helped make this happen. And so please become a Free Talk Live amplifier like Purple Lotus. He or she, I'm not sure, is doing it for $5 a month.
It's none of your damn business.
$5 a month. Amplifier, that's the silver level. You can do more if you want, but we really appreciate it, and you'll get a little bit, some perks, some benefits. You can get the full list of what those are over at amp.freetalklive.com. We've also got...
One of the benefits is we don't ask you your pronouns.
You can sign up for, you can use PayPal, you can use credit card, you can use Bitcoin BTC. Once again, it's amp.freetalklive.com. To the phones here, to the Discord, on-air call-in lines over where Bad Slave is. Hello, Bad Slave. In New Hampshire.
Howdy.
Hey, you're on the air.
Are you getting an echo from me anymore?
No, it doesn't seem like it. No,
Yes,
it's there. It's kind of in the background. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I have a proposal, and that is that anybody who chooses not to vote actually legitimately and effectively removes consent.
Oh, that'd be great. Unfortunately, the government doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean that sounds awesome. But
we can pass that as legislation, can we not?
I guess you could try.
Hold on, I know you. No, you can't, because you're not going to vote. Okay.
No. That what you do is you set up the requirement for a quorum of 75 or 80%. Before you reach the circumstances of actually consenting.
But what I'm saying, Bad Slave, is that for those that choose not to vote for principled reasons are a loud bunch, and they will often make their point over and over again without actually driving it home, which I find fascinating. But I would ask, how do you possibly think that anybody's going to care about any legislation for people who choose not to vote? I'm for this and will immediately stop voting as soon as stopping voting withdraws consent. But
me too,
I'll
man.
tell you this:
absolutely.
Slavery has existed for as long as the Agrarian Revolution has, and the masters didn't care whether you consented or not.
We could also go ahead and just put a checkbox in there that says, I do not consent, and then not vote anywhere else.
That'd be awesome.
I've tried to tell judges that I don't consent, and I've tried to bring up the New Hampshire's
How many
Article
days in
10.
jail did you get for that?
I don't know if I got jail for that one.
Got 90 for
I got
refusal.
3 instances of contempt of court in one particular case.
I don't consent. By under what power do you tell me to sit down?
Yeah, one of them was because I didn't sit down fast enough. Another one was because I wouldn't answer the question of whether or not I could pay the fine that was being assessed against me. And I forget what the third one was for. Hey, thanks for the call, Bad Slave. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I am totally for this proposal of the option to opt out, but that's not how government works.
Yeah, they don't care. It says it in the Constitution that its government is by the consent of the governed, although it does say that good government, at least in the New Hampshire Constitution, it says good government is by the consent of the governed. I'm paraphrasing.
Right,
essentially
which means that they doesn't necessarily have to provide you with good government, right?
Yeah, they're not good.
Right.
They're evil.
It's just government.
And I've tried to tell them I don't consent. I've tried to bring up the New Hampshire Article 10, which is the article of the Bill of Rights here in the New Hampshire Constitution that enshrines your right to revolution. It's actually in there. It's a really great, well-written article. And, you're found guilty anyway, so it's like they don't care what it says. You'd have to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, and then, of course, they'd be like, well, it only applies if blah, 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 and then they'd put all these provisions
I'd be
on
very
it.
curious as to what are the applications here? Exactly what does it mean?
Yeah. Hire an attorney. And
how can I go, 10A here in New Hampshire and opt out of whatever it is that they're talking about?
A lot of people would like that question answered, but at least one good question was answered by a district chief judge Patty Saris in Massachusetts recently. This story from the Washington Times, where she ruled that Americans have a right to secretly record public officials, including police, when they're engaged in their government duties. The Massachusetts law that bans secret recordings, she said, violates the First Amendment when it comes to government employees rejecting the state's claims that officials need some space to be able to operate without having to worry about being monitored. She wrote, quote, "This is," you laugh, but that's honestly their claim here in New Hampshire too, because Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Illinois, I think, are the three of the worst states with these all parties must consent style so-called wiretapping laws. The judge wrote, quote, "This is not to say that police and government officials have no privacy interests. However, the diminished privacy interests of government officials performing their duties in public must be balanced by the First Amendment interest of news gathering and information dissemination." She ruled in favor of two sets of plaintiffs, one of which regularly live-streamed video of police officers performing their duties, and the other James O'Keefe, whose project Veritas specializes in catching public policy figures saying embarrassing things, usually with hidden cameras.
We've had him on.
I don't recall that.
O'Keefe? I thought we had him on.
Maybe you had him on your podcast? I've never interviewed that guy. Okay. Quote, "The impact of this win will ripple throughout the nation," said O'Keefe. "It will set historic precedent and keep citizen journalism alive in all 50 states.
Oh, this is Veritas. I'm sorry. I got him confused with somebody else. Yeah.
State Attorney General's office did not respond to the comment or request for comment. Massachusetts law in 1968 was enacted, a general ban on taping wire and oral communications, with the legislature saying it was concerned the proliferation of modern electronic surveillance devices was a danger to citizens' privacy. So, once again, a law was passed with good intentions. The idea behind the wiretapping laws originally was, Aria, if you are on a phone call, back in the day when you only had a phone line that you could use, you're on a phone line with Mark, you think you're having a private conversation with one another, and I'm out listening at your junction box, right? Like I've tapped in or somehow have tapped into that conversation. You don't know that I'm there. Neither of you knows that I'm there listening. That's the classic example of wiretapping, to say that somebody said, hey, that ought to be illegal.
Yeah, even if you're the government.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, of course, there's exemptions carved out for governments in these wiretapping laws. But
the government, it uses these laws for themselves.
They sure do.
So if I call a government agent and I'm recording the call, and every time I say this call is being recorded, they hang up on me, so I don't say that, and then I get the audio, then I've broken the law.
It's crazy, these wiretapping laws, and luckily most states aren't like Massachusetts and New Hampshire in these ways. Most states and the federal laws, as I understand it, are what they call one-party consent, meaning, Aria, if you are on the phone with Mark and you're secretly recording the conversation, in most places, that's legal.
Yeah. It was legal in Mississippi.
Yeah. In Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and I believe Illinois, and there may be another, don't quote me on this, I'm not an attorney, check your own local laws, but in these states, both parties must know of the recording. All parties, effectively, to a conversation. If there was a third party, then that third party would also need to know. So they all have to agree. So what this judge is saying is there's a carve-out, and it's for government officials doing their public duties. So this is great news. Now, this is just a federal court. It's not Supreme Court, so it only probably affects whatever district Massachusetts is in, would be my guess. I suspect New Hampshire's in that district, but honestly, I don't pay attention to which states are in what districts. So that's a little bit of good news. We'll keep our eyes on the story. If you hear anything else before we do, let us know by calling in and joining us here on Free Talk Live. Join us online, freetalklive.com.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, January 14th, 2019. Silver is trading at $15.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,294 per ounce. Smart cash is trading at 1.3 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,574. Antiwar.com reports South Korean officials are expressing concern that President Trump may order a drawdown of troops from the Korean Peninsula as negotiations on the funding of U.S. troops deployed there hits an impasse. In recent years, South Korea had paid about half of the cost of hosting U.S. troops in Korea. In 2018, this cost them $830 million. Yet President Trump is seeking a massive increase in payments from South Korea, demanding a 50% increase on top of what they already pay. Negotiations on these demands began in March with the goal of reaching a new 5-year deal before the previous deal expired. The deal has since expired at the end of 2018, and now there is no deal in place at all. South Korea is said to be planning a counter-offer which will offer to increase payments to adjust for inflation, though U.S. officials say they don't think this will satisfy the White House. At the same time, South Korean parliament members say they don't think they can afford to cave to the Trumpian way of demanding increases. Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features Smart Rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn Smart Rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 Smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart Rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc. Reuters reports a Republican senator close to President Donald Trump on Sunday backed a temporary reopening of the federal government in the 23rd day of the longest shutdown ever to allow for talks on a spending agreement that could satisfy Trump's border security demands. Democrats in Congress rejected Trump's request that legislation to fund the government include $5.7 billion of taxpayer money for a wall on the U.S. border with Mexico. They have refused further negotiations until the government is reopened after being partially shut down since December 22nd. Lindsey Graham, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said he urged the president on Sunday to reopen the government for a limited period of time to try to get talks going again. If no progress is made, he said then Trump should declare a national emergency as a way to get money to build his wall, a plan not popular with some fellow Republicans. Graham said on Fox News Sunday before he pulls the plug on the legislative option, and I think we are almost there. I would urge them to open the government for a short period of time, like 3 weeks before he pulls the plug to see if we can get a deal. He said Trump told him, let's make a deal, then open the government. The record shutdown has furloughed 800,000 federal employees and cut government services across the United States. They missed their first paychecks on Friday, heightening concerns about mounting financial pressures on employees, including air traffic controllers and airport security officials who are working without pay. Trump continued to blame Democrats for this impasse, posting on Twitter, I'm in the White House waiting. The Democrats are everywhere but Washington as people will await their pay. They're having fun and not even talking. Drew Hamill, Deputy Chief of Staff for Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, responded on Twitter that Nancy Pelosi has been in D.C. all weekend working from the Capitol. In a meeting last month with Pelosi and top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer, Trump said he would be proud to shut down the government over wall funding. Recent polls show Americans think the president is to blame. Jennifer Lawless, a politics professor at the University of Virginia, said she believes Trump and Republicans will lose the game of chicken as furloughed workers, airport travelers, tourists, and others experience the consequences of political dysfunction firsthand. She said the shutdown is real, the wall is hypothetical, and at some point the Republicans are going to remember that it's real people in their districts who aren't getting paid, real people who aren't able to access government services, and real people who vote. A concourse at Miami International Airport was shut down for part of the weekend because not enough TSA agents were present to staff all of the airport's security checkpoints. The airport said it would reopen the concourse on Monday and continue to monitor checkpoint staffing levels and make adjustments as necessary. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Spendabit.co. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
House of Representatives Bill 323, the IHOP should stay open all night so we can get some Pancakes Act. This bill was submitted for immediate review very late last night under the provisions of the National Emergency Legislation Act.
Can we dim the lights? It's really bright.
H.R. 323 would, by federal order, require all IHOP restaurants to, quote, remain open 24 hours effective right this minute, even if some manager has to get out of bed and drive down here to start making some pancakes.
Well, we stand by the bill.
Right. We wrote it, apparently.
This bill would also require the federal government pay to build a tram or monorail or whatever connecting the Black Sheep Pub on North Capitol Street to all IHOP restaurants.
I think
in the
we made
city.
some illustrations of
The bill
that.
gives the estimated cost of the tram as probably not even that much. You are wasting my time and the time of this committee.
I gotta go.
What, Congressman? This committee is still in session. You can't.
This is the Onion News Network.
Hey, you may take control of the airwaves here and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855